Pat McAfee heading to ESPN, and a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are upset. And the question is, was it a good move for Pat? Was it a good move for the show? A lot of people say no. A lot of people say no. We're going to break it down. We're going to also get your input, get your opinions, take your phone calls. But Pat McAfee, the question is, everybody's saying he sold out. He sold out. Did he sell out? Did he sell out? And I'm curious to know what you all think. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is going on, everybody? This is a hot topic right now. A lot of people are very, very upset right now because ESPN got their grips on one of the bigger stories and awesome climbs in the history of sports, independent sports, journalism, and just, show creation. Pat McAfee paving a lot of ways for a lot of content creators. And this guy was an absolute legend to everyone until this moment right now, where it seems like there's a divide where you either hate this move and you hate Pat McAfee's decision, you kind of hate Pat McAfee right now, or you understand and you kind of still think it'll be okay. There's no real middle ground. Everybody DMing me left and right. He sold out. I'm never watching that show again. Other people were like, I would have done it. That's the thing, is nobody really knows what they would do unless they were in this situation. The only thing that I would say off the top of my dome, if I was to try and break this down, Jose says Pat McAfee sold out. He definitely sold out. It's just a matter of what does that mean? Because he did sell out. He did sell out. He sold to make a whole bunch of money. But my question would be, my first initial thought off the top of the dome is that, and let me put all these pieces of news on screen, and let me find the one that I'm trying to find. Here's the one that kind of is the most crucial point to me to discuss, is that McAfee, 36 years old, is in his second year of his 4-year, $120 million contract with FanDuel, according to this report right here. I believe this might be The Athletic. I mean, the dude was making bank, and according to the reports that I could find, one says 10 million. This one right here says, I believe this might have been from CBS Sports, I'm not sure. In addition to being paid a rumor of 15 million annually, ESPN will take on more of the show's behind-the-scenes operations and duties and drastically expand McAfee's overall audience. So, my question would be, and we've heard that FanDuel, who has this kind of exclusivity, non-exclusivity, but big contract with Pat, is kind of been like, they're understanding. They've been a very understanding partner, according to Pat. But how does this work with this deal? Like, how does FanDuel stay a part of this deal? We don't know. We'll probably find some of those details out. But this $120 million deal, I don't know what the length of the contract is for Pat, but even if it's 15 mil for 4 years, like, I don't understand what was needed here. Like, I'm sure FanDuel would have come back in and said, hey, we'll kick you another 100 mil. Like, I don't really understand why he did this, because he wasn't in a position of need. That's the only part that I would come out here and say. It's not that I want to come out and be negative toward Pat and say he's a sellout, or in the way that people are saying it. But did he sell out? Yeah, I mean, he did sell out to the in terms of what that really means. He sold out. He went to ESPN. But why did he do it? He just signed a $120 million deal, had more money than he's ever going to need. Not saying that you, in his position, don't try and build more and more and more and get bigger and bigger. But why did he do this when he got such a massive contract he was in the middle of with FanDuel, and FanDuel would have kicked him whatever he wanted? I just don't know what the objective would be when you're making this kind of money. You're giving away millions. And look, we all need to give Pat McAfee his flowers for being a giving individual. And everybody just needs to stop the character shots on him. are not deserving. This guy's giving away millions and millions of dollars to everybody in his community. So let's dial back the hatred and negative talk toward his character. You want to talk about his business decisions, selling out as a businessman, whatever. That's totally understandable to be upset. The ESPN that tends to kind of dilute and diminish everything, in terms of the way they get their hands on stuff. And then we got some other stuff we'll talk about in a second in terms of job layoffs and how this happened in the midst of all this, which is weird. But McAfee, what could he have gained from this? I don't really know. I'm trying to rack my brain and say, why would you do this to your fan base who has been telling you don't do it in massive droves? Don't do it. Don't do it. We love you. 95% approval rating, probably, if I had to say. He probably has a 95. I would say he had a 95% approval rating across his fan base. It was crazy. His fan base loves him. Now his fan base is probably 50-50. I'm not saying those 50% won't swing back around and currently watch him. But this is crazy that he didn't go down the other avenue, which was probably getting something similar to this from FanDuel or someone else, just to stay in his own lane and continue to do what he's been doing and stay away from the ESPNs. It's kind of head scratching to me from a businessman's perspective, looking like at my show. Like, look, everybody out here can call him a sellout and say they wouldn't do this. If someone handed you $10 million, $15 million a year on a 4-year guaranteed deal, you probably do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we need to understand that the problem is my business mind, my business hat that I have on right now is not comprehending why he didn't continue to go down an avenue, whereas 95% or 100% of his fan base wanted him to go down with a massive amount of likability across his fan base that is astronomically different than any other show, period. They loved him. Why would you go down this road when this number right here isn't blowing away the numbers he could have continued to get and probably could have re-upped? And I'm sure there was discussions and negotiations like, hey, you can keep doing what you're doing. When he negotiated this $120 million deal with FanDuel and they had no control over anything, they just gave him $120 million, said, let us be a non-exclusive, which was a weird contract. Like, why they went non-exclusive is beyond me. Non-exclusive, very loose-based. Hey, just keep us involved. That was the sense we got from this $120 million FanDuel contract 2 years ago. Why Pat wouldn't explore going down that avenue, maybe an exclusive, no control, maybe an exclusive fan deal. Kick us another $100 million. He could have got this in his current situation. Now, I know he just had a child. Look, change like that can make you do weird things. I'm not saying he didn't think this through. I'm not saying he didn't want to do this 2 years ago, but kind of crazy this ESPN situation, given how much negativity ESPN's already injected into his situation, how they wouldn't allow people to go on a show, how they kind of put him off in the corner and said, this guy right here, maybe he'll go away, let's ignore him. And then he goes over to ESPN. And so it's head scratching to me. Someone can say he sold out for the money, but he didn't sell out for the money, people. He could have got that money from FanDuel. He was getting that money from FanDuel. I got to think FanDuel's not paying him any longer. I don't know the answer to this, but you got to think to yourself that this isn't continuing in its current form, and you got to think to yourself that FanDuel would have said, yo, Pat, don't go over to ESPN. What if we kick you another $100 million? You got to think that whatever he's getting annually here, $15 million a year. We'd all love to get $15 million a year. I'm not balking at the number $15 million from a general sense, but $120 million 4-year deal, $15 million annually. And I'm sure they do other things. Who knows what the full extent of the contract is or what ends up happening. But you're telling me that FanDuel, who just dropped $120 million on a 4-year deal that has no exclusivity to it at all, is just handing Pat McAfee $120 million essentially. They put a little sign up in the corner of the office, like by the basketball court. It says FanDuel this way. FanDuel bathrooms. We sponsor the bathrooms. FanDuel bathrooms. You got to take a leak? Go to the FanDuel porta potty outside of the facility there. That's all it felt like when he announced this FanDuel deal. They're like, we got $120 million for 4 years. What do we got to do? Nothing. Nothing. And you're telling me that this company, FanDuel, or whoever, wouldn't have offered Pat McAfee $15 million a year to keep things the way it was, maybe throw a little exclusivity in there, maybe say, hey, just for the next remaining 2 years of the 4-year deal, maybe nothing new, the next 2 years of the 4-year deal, keep us exclusive, we'll kick you another $15 million a year. You're telling me that this discussion didn't happen. So my question is this. I think it's $15 million salary versus $30 million a year from FanDuel. Yeah, but they gave him 120. And what I'm saying, Gray, and I appreciate you being here, Greg. What I'm saying is this was they were probably talking to Pat about not going this direction. What I'm saying is, how does Pat not say to FanDuel, kick me another 10 mil, 15 mil a year, and we'll knock this thing up to an exclusive remaining 2-year deal. That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense. This number, as big as it is to all of us peons out here, they couldn't dream of getting $15 million a year. As big as this number is, this number doesn't compute. This number doesn't compute for taking your fan base down a road they don't want to go. And so it's crazy. And yeah, they are going to run concurrent in a sense. The show's staying on YouTube, but it's going on ESPN's YouTube as far as I know. I don't know what's happening to Pat McAfee's YouTube channel. I don't really know how that's all going to work, but it's crazy. Again, I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Pat McAfee for making a decision that I think about 80% of you, no, 100% of you would make in a heartbeat. You know you would. But in his situation, maybe you wouldn't. That's my thing. That's my hang up here. This FanDuel situation was still in motion. I don't even get why he wouldn't go down that route. The show will air live on weekdays on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ESPN's YouTube channel beginning this fall. It will be Get Up, First Take, then the Pat McAfee program, according to Pat. That's this right there. This right here is another piece. Pat McAfee Show will air weekdays simultaneously on ESPN, ESPN Plus, ESPN's YouTube channel. Okay, I mean, that's all the same information. This right here was kind of an interesting note that the move comes amid mass layoffs at ESPN. The parent company Disney that are also impacting the sports network. Disney CEO announced in February the entertainment giant would cut 7,000 jobs. So this comes in the middle of all that, and you got to wonder, like, what's that mean? What's that mean? 15? It's crazy. It's crazy. Ron Navy dropping a super chat. Please don't include me in your 100%. Well, I'd love to see the person that shoots down $15 million a year. But, Ron, I agree, and that's my whole point of my rant, is in his situation, he didn't need to do this. He didn't need to do this. He shouldn't have done this in his situation. He could have explored and gone down other avenues that would have got him into the same place but kept his independence. I think what it is, if I had to guess using the psychology degree that your boy does have, I would say that he wants to step back. I would say this guy's probably in a situation where maybe he's burned out and he's like, I can't manage all of this anymore. I want someone to buy me out, and I wanted to show up, walk in the door, do a show, walk out the door, not answer my phone. So I think that's what the one thing people need to understand, that when you do something like I do, like he does, especially what he does on an even grander scale, there's a lot that goes into it. So if anybody's going to say this is the worst move ever for him, and there's no reason why he should have done it, you do need to factor in that perspective that nobody's going to really understand unless you're a content creator, that so much goes into this. Like you guys probably have no idea. Like you could guess, you could probably assume, but you guys probably have no idea how much work goes into this show and brand. Like to a degree that no one could ever know. It's not anyone's fault. It's not your fault you don't know, but you couldn't possibly know. And especially his show, you're literally breathing it every single minute of your waking life, and even when you're asleep, you're dealing with it. You're being woken up. You sleep very little, and so you got to understand that if he is burning out because he's been going so hard for a while, and remember he was doing this before he became big. He was trying to get this thing going. You got to understand that if this man does want to just show up, not deal with really anything, and just leave and go home and get paid $15 million a year, it's an understandable thing. The problem is he's still very young. He shouldn't be that burned out yet, because I know it's an emotional roller coaster running a show and a brand and all that, but he is definitely a negative direction. Like if he wanted to survive for a while without any sort of dissolving of his brand, like if his goal is to be doing this for 15 years, he shouldn't have done this. If he's literally like, okay, I'm going to do this for 1, 2, 3, 4 more years, and then I'm retiring early, and that's all I want to do, then it's understandable why he's taking this direction, because he's not. It's kind of like somebody making a dynasty trade that is good for the now, but not good for the future, because you know that owner's walking away from the league in like 3 years. That's what it feels like to me. If I had to come in here and say, what is really going on behind this, Smitty, you'd roll if ESPN called you, right? That's the thing, is like you want. I never lie to you guys. You want me to, my honest opinion is, I would never want to work for somebody again. I don't want to work for anybody else. If I was at the point where I had, and I don't feel this way, I feel like I've got 10, 15, 20 years left of trying to do this thing. If I was at the point where I was in my twilight years, I felt 4 years left, 5 years left, and somebody came to me like ESPN and said, hey, we'll give you $15 million a year for the final 4 years of what you're doing. That's what I'm saying, is I don't know if that's where Pat's at. If he's at the I'm burned out, I've got more money from FanDuel that I can ever spend, and I'm pretty much getting to a point where if I keep going, running this business by myself, essentially, and doing this from this perspective, I'm going to burn out in 2 years. Whereas if I do this, come to work, let ESPN handle production or whatever, and I can go 4 or 5 years. That's all I'm trying to say. That's kind of where I think he's kind of at. Can I answer the question if ESPN came to me and offered me $15 million a year to go to ESPN? Can I honestly sit here with a straight face and tell you guys I wouldn't go? That's ridiculous to pretend that I wouldn't take $15 million per year to go. So, but the difference between me and Pat, and I'm not going to get that, so relax out there, okay, Ron? Before you send your next super chat with an angry face. If ESPN came and offered me $15 million a year on a guaranteed 4-year deal, Ron, I'm sorry. It would say the Fantasy Football Show by ESPN. I'm just being real with you guys. No one's offering me $15 million a year. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so relax. But I'm just being real. I don't want to lie to you. I'm always honest with you. $15 million a year is something I'm not going to see. If I do, it'll be great. But let me tell you something. Given given what I'm building here, given what we're building here, given what's a likely scenario to happen and come to our doorstep, and you never know what you're going to become. This thing could get so big, somebody could come and say, I don't care how big you are, I love the way you roll, Smitty, I want to bring you over to ESPN, we're going to offer you a $500,000 sellout, whatever. I'm not going to go to ESPN. I'm not going to go to ESPN because I don't want to work for another person. I don't want to work for ESPN. I don't want to work for anybody. I don't want to work for anybody. If someone came to me and said, you no longer have to work again, go do this for 4 years, that's different. And every single one of you out there, I don't even want to hear it. Every single one of you out there, someone said 4 years of work talking about sports, I'll give you $60 million. I'll give you $60 million if you come talk just 3 hours a day, 1 hour of, prep and end time combined. So 4-hour shift, 5 days a week, $60 million for 4 years. Get out of here. The problem is, the reason we're talking about this is Pat didn't need to do this. Pat's $15 million a year. He's getting this route. Not to mention he could have got whatever's extra that we're not accounting for, whatever he said that I haven't even seen a certain part of it. He could have went to FanDuel and got it bumped up. He could have went to FanDuel or somewhere else or whatever and said, hey, look, ESPN's trying to pull me in. What if we focus on you a little more here at the Pat McAfee show and we make FanDuel a little more special little piece of the show? Kick in another 15 mil, keep me independent. I don't want to go to ESPN. That's the only part I don't understand. But the only explanation is that he doesn't want to do it anymore. I'm telling you, as a content creator, the only thing that makes sense is that he doesn't want to do it anymore from the grand scale. He's burned out and he wants someone to take over and he just wants to get paid on the way out. That's my assessment. That's my prediction here. That's what I think is truly going on, because none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. Money isn't everything. Principle trumps money. Yeah, I get you, Ron, but 15 mil times 4 is something that I think maybe Ron, maybe you wouldn't do that. And that's look, if you wouldn't do that. If there's someone in here, and Ron's one of them, if there's someone in here that 15 mil is not moving the needle for you per year for 4 years, then I appreciate that. I wish I was that man. The thing is, Ron, no one's coming knocking at my door for 15 mil a year. Okay? And like I said, if someone said, hey, Smitty, I'll give you a very handsome yearly salary. Let's call it $200,000 a year to come work over here at ESPN. You got to get on a plane and fly here on the weekends I would say no. That's my point. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work for somebody. My goal is not to sell this thing. My goal is to get this thing so big that we are bigger than ESPN. Now, probably not going to happen right now at this moment in time, given Pat McAfee, despite people jumping ship over there, people are going to flood over to ESPN and subscribe to watch Pat McAfee, whether they're mad at him or not, they're going to. And so ESPN's going to grow in numbers. But do I feel like if we expanded here on the Fantasy Football Show, if we expanded, Denny, call in. Denny, if you're out there, call in. If we expanded to cover sports, which I have full intention of doing it at some point, could we be bigger than an ESPN? Yeah, I don't think a content creator, you wouldn't be doing this as much as I do it if you didn't think you could become that big. 1 million subscribers at least. Like, let's just call it a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel. That's all I need. I don't need anything bigger than that. I don't want to compromise enjoying what I do, which I do. I enjoy what I do so much, to work for the man, be told what to do, have a limited show, have it scaled down, I don't want any of that. And that's why nobody's going to come to me and sway me, because no one's coming to me and offering me $15 million a year. If they did, everybody but Ron in here would be very tempted to go over and do that. But McAfee wasn't that person because he was getting the money somewhere else. It doesn't really make sense to me. I'm telling you, I don't think he had it in him to continue at the rate he's going. I don't think he did. I live within my means when we win BB4. Yeah, when Ron wins BB4, we're all going to be living large. Ron's gonna swoop in here and try to beat ESPN. He's gonna say, I'm gonna buy Smitty out. Ron's gonna try and buy me out when he wins BB4, and he's gonna call in and tell me what to do. That's what he's gonna try and do. Jake says it's the time factor with the newborn. Show's still dead now. Like everything that Disney touches, it probably is gonna be on the downhill for sure. I mean, that's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. Travis Rowe with a $5 hauler. Someone who claims to be a man of the people, loyal to his fans. This is completely opposite. There was plenty of money elsewhere. He had all of the leverage. I agree, and that's kind of what I've been explaining for like 50. I agree, Travis. We're on the same page here. I just don't think he was in a position of need. He wasn't in a position of need. And if he was, which he wasn't, but if he was, he could have easily replaced this $15 million per year on the same avenue he was on. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense whatsoever to do this. It doesn't. It makes sense if you weren't getting $15 million a year. If, let's say, the FanDuel money dried up. Let's say FanDuel, none of these places were coming to offer him anything anymore. It doesn't make sense, given those avenues were still there, to explore and do what he did. It just doesn't. It feels like a big mistake for him. It's not something that jives with what he's got going on and what he needs. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need this deal. Everyone keeps saying money talks. This isn't money talking. Money's not talking here. It's not talking. I don't agree that he needed it. He could have easily got it in another way. McAfee is literally the only good ESPN asset now. First take. Yeah, I don't like a lot of what ESPN's got going on. McAfee is going to be a brand, not a show. It kind of reminds you of like when Elvis. Doesn't this kind of remind you of Elvis? Bigger than life. McAfee bigger than life in the sports world. Going on when Elvis went on all those. I don't know if anybody watched the Elvis movie, but when he went on all the Christmas song tours. That's what this feels like. It feels like McAfee's going on a Christmas song tour. And he doesn't want to be singing Christmas songs. He wants to be talking sports. But ESPN's going to have him singing Christmas carols. And he's going to be just sitting there depressed with his head down going, what am I doing? What am I doing? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see if his show changes. We'll see what happens. I think, says the Favre situation opened his eyes. He wants to use ESPN's market to market his brand. Let's be honest. ESPN is everywhere. I mean, Dante, you might have a case, I guess, to make there that he is going to be in more eyes, even though he pissed off a lot of his fan base. Maybe in a couple of years he branches back out, and this is some sort of like, rebirth party. And people flood back in, and he announces we're back. Maybe he tucks his YouTube channel away, and his YouTube channel is not a part of this acquisition of any kind, and he just keeps it dormant for a while, and then when he's ready to bounce back, he just launches the channel again or opens it back up. What's up, George from the Bay? It's a pretty interesting topic, though, and I know a lot of people are going to be against Pat, and I'm not saying that I'm not. I think it's a bad move. I think knowing everything that I know about it, and I don't know all the details, obviously, it's not a good move for him. It's not. It's a bad move for him. It is selling out in a way. It for sure is. Is selling out always a bad thing? It depends on your perspective. Did he need to sell out? He did not. He did not. There was no need for this deal. There was zero need in my mind for this deal. I think him having a baby, him being very stressed out. I don't know if anybody's watched him talk about this. His eyes are like this. He can't even open his eyes. He's realizing that you don't sleep when you're a father, when you have a newborn. And he's like this. He's like, guys, welcome to the Pat McAfee show. I'm currently sleeping right at this moment. You have no idea. I've fallen asleep twice since I've started talking. Any new dad knows that feeling of where you actually fall asleep in the middle of talking. I sometimes that's happened to me. I mean, I don't sleep a lot as it is, but like in the middle of talking, I'll literally be, hey, I think I might have just fallen asleep for a millisecond during that whole speech right there. I've done a late night mock draft where I've literally felt like I fell asleep in the middle of talking. I'm like, yeah. And so, Alvin Kamara is really just, oh my God, I was asleep. Like, asleep at the wheel. Vampy in the house. Appreciate Vampy. Does anybody agree with me on this, that it feels a lot like Elvis? It does. It feels a lot like Elvis. Elvis doing those Christmas songs. He didn't want to do them. Elvis didn't want to do those Christmas songs. The Colonel made Elvis do so many Christmas songs. Elvis was going to burst. And part of that's what was his demise and downfall. Once you lose trust of the fan base, it won't come back. I agree, Ron. It's going to be a rough road. I think my explanation's spot on. I think it's spot on. He is burned out, and he wants somebody else to run production. He wants somebody else to take over. He wants somebody else to be in charge. And at the cost of the fan base, he may have miscalculated and didn't realize the fan base would be this crazy. He thought maybe there'd be a 25% pushback, and a lot of people would just say, we'll see how it goes. But he definitely miscalculated this. He definitely miscalculated his fan base's reaction. They are livid, and you can tell he's pissed off about it. And I don't blame him, but at the same time, it's crazy. Smitty, you tuck me in after I give my son his bottle. You tuck him in, then I tuck you in. That's my job. That's my job. And guess what? No one's coming offering me $15 million a year for 4 years straight. So I'm probably not going anywhere, bro. I'm probably not going anywhere, which is good. At the end of the day, it's good. I don't want to work for anybody. Nobody's coming and offering me a $15 million salary. And if I had another avenue like Pat did to get that exact same money, if not more, to stay independent, I will. Like that's the whole thing. I will. There's no way I want to go over to I don't want to work for anybody. And Pat maybe felt like that. Here's the problem. And I'm not saying I'm Pat McAfee at all. I've gone where Pat's going. I had a brand. Early on in my career. I did sell to allow myself more time to create. This is back in the radio days, back in the, just content days. And it was the worst mistake I made at that time in my life. Everything happens for a reason. But I absolutely feel like if I could go back, and I don't know, maybe I wouldn't be where I'm at right now and all that, so I don't regret anything in that sense. But like this is his first big thing, and it was big, and he did amazing. He might think this is what he wants because 5-7 years ago when he had nothing, or 10 years ago when he had nothing from this, of course he had a good football career, I'm not saying that, but he probably had an objective in his mind to get ESPN to finally accept him, to get ESPN to finally bring him in. And this was him, I think, defeating that whole, desire. And I think once he's there for 2 years or a year, he's going to regret it. It feels like something that he will regret. I think he's had his mind set on this for a while, down deep, because he probably wanted to prove he could do it, and he probably feels like ESPN wanting to bring him in as the validation. The thing is, he probably should have left it at the validation part and said, you know what? I am bigger than you guys. Pat is bigger. I know ESPN's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm not saying financially, but his reach is essentially bigger than ESPN. His reach is bigger than ESPN. I don't really know why he wouldn't have banked on himself unless he was burned out, which I think he is. That's the reasoning why he's doing this. It's not because it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. He had so many other avenues to go down. But it's crazy to me that he doesn't realize that he's still growing And if he didn't want to retire, which is what I believe he's inching toward, I think he's sitting here, and it might be just a midlife crisis thing because of the baby. I don't know how many of you have had a newborn baby recently, but when you have a newborn baby, you go through a little midlife crisis moment in the middle of all that. So I don't know if he has this weird little midlife crisis situation that's going to make him say, I think I do want out. I think it's just like, give me 4 years and then I'm out and then I'm going to duck out and retire. Maybe that's in his nature to do that. Maybe it's not. I can't retire. I want to work till I pass out and never wake up again. That's just my nature. But I don't know if that's his nature. It doesn't feel like it, because if he wanted to do this till the end of time, if he wasn't getting burned out, I think he would have the vision to say, ESPN's obviously got they're a multi-billion dollar company. Disney, ESPN, all of this they're multi-billion. There is billions and billions versus millions. There's not even a comparison as to who's a bigger financial operation. I'm not saying that, but given that Pat McAfee had more reach than ESPN, it's weird that ESPN's acquiring him. And if he was in it for the long haul, which he's clearly not, or he wouldn't do this. This is the tell. He's telling us. If he was in it for the long haul, he would be a visionary with this and say, my being bigger than ESPN, my reach is bigger than ESPN, will eventually, in 4 or 5 years, get me into a position where I buy ESPN. ESPN doesn't buy me. And he could literally separate ESPN from Disney and acquire ESPN and become ESPN in a way that people would maybe support. The fact that he doesn't see that vision, and maybe he sees it, but he doesn't want it. The fact that he doesn't see it or doesn't want it tells me he's probably burned out and doesn't feel in this moment of time, he might regret it and get his once his midlife crisis is over, having a child, he might regret it and say, man, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. And like Ron said, and Ron just called in, he's live, there might be damage you can't reverse if you do want to head back in that direction, but we'll see. There's definitely two sides of the story. I know, Ron, yours is sell out. I got Mike in here saying sell out. A lot of you, 50% or more of his fan base is saying sell out right now. I get it. I started off by saying he sold out for sure, but why did he sell out, Ron? What I know you're against the move. We definitely know that.
No, here's the thing. I'm going to speak about it logically, but Silver said this in there too, from ESPN's point of view. If we can't beat them, we'll buy them, and that's exactly what ESPN did.
Yeah,
Silver was spot on with that comment.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: in the world that we live in today, the majority of the people are sick and tired of all the fakeness from these corporations, from these businesses, from these news people, from everything. So they're looking for alternate sources to watch. And McAfee was one of those alternate sources, just like you're one of the alternate sources. He was somewhere where we could come and go and get away from all that corporate crap out there that they're trying to shove down our throats every single day from all over the place. People are tired of it. Look at Bud Light. They thought they were smart, right? Well, guess what? They're tanking. Disney thought they were smart. Guess what? Disney's tanking. ESPN's laying off people by the droves. They're tanking. So now you look at his fan base that he's grown, and people, are pissed off because
absolutely
he was the one outsider that people looked at, and now he's going to be under that label of ESPN of majority of the people despise, because if ESPN had a strong audience, they wouldn't be laying off droves and droves of people. ESPN is hurting because they went woke.
So let me ask you this question.
It's hurting because they went
Let
woke.
me ask you this question, because I get, we all agree on that. We all agree. Like there's no need to even and I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying for anybody out there in the chat, there's no reason to even debate that he sold out. He sold out for 100%. But why did he sell out? What do you think he sold out? Do you think I'm correct that he's burned out on running an operation all by himself, and he said, you know what? I've got this kid, brand new kid. And this happens right when he has his newborn baby. There's no coincidence there. I think, and I don't know if you agree, that he just is at potentially a point where he's like, I'm already burned out on this thing, and maybe I get 4 years and I walk away. I just walk away. I retire. Maybe I buy properties. Maybe I buy this. Maybe I invest in this and do something from a real top level. Maybe he gets involved in something, and I'm sure he's not going to just walk away and not do anything. But I don't see how there's any other explanation, Ron, than he is burned out. Because why else would he walk away from the reach he had?
For one, he doesn't know his fan base, which he should know his fan base. You know your fan base. You know us very well. You know who's going to take stances on what. You know your fan base. You know what we like, what we don't like. I mean, for the most part, you know he doesn't know his fan base. Just like Budweiser didn't know their fan base because of what they did. And now they're learning, they're paying the consequences. And so he doesn't know his fan base, so he's not going to get those fans back. He's going to go over to ESPN. He's not going to – people aren't going to follow him over there by droves and droves and droves because majority of the people are going to be, tired. He could have went out and found another relation with a different company.
Hold on one second, Ron. Michael Zastro, usually one of the most negative people in here constantly, always negativity. I never see Michael coming here with a positive thing. It's always he waits like he's preying on something, and it comes in with the negative. Okay, now I agree. I don't disagree with something I'm going to put on the screen. He didn't sell out. Stop with the clickbait. Michael, read the room, bro. Read the room. You're in a room full of 99%, 134 people out of the 135. You're the only one that thinks this isn't clickbait. The question of the video is, did he sell out or not? ? So I didn't even take a stance in the title of my video, Michael. Okay? Number two, 99%, every single person in here, probably but you, thinks he sold out. It's not a matter of did he sell out. There's no clickbait in this video whatsoever, Michael. This is more about why did he sell out? Is there reasoning behind it? For him, does it make sense? Because not look, not everybody is not going to just walk away from this kind of money. It doesn't make him a bad person. But what Ron's saying is true. He either miscalculated or he doesn't care, and he's writing off that things are going to potentially go downhill for him, but he's going to get paid, walk away from this thing in 3-4 years.
The whole story, Eddie, because listening to him, and I know you don't get a lot of chance of listening to him, but after he said that, he talked about the big meeting and he had to go on stage, and he talked about how he met Serena Williams, and he met this person, and he met that person, and the Kardashians and everything. So I think he's looking also to get in that clique of around famed people that are celebrities. I think he wants to be in that celebrity and have all those contacts from all these celebrities. I think he earns for that. I think that's one of his objectives, is to be in that clique. And yeah, it's a big sell. If you go back and listen to his show, watch how he talks about that whole thing and how he was just like talking to everybody and meeting everybody, and he was just like, yeah, Troy Aikman and all these people. He was just like in awe of all these people that Disney had there, ESPN/Disney had there at this big meeting or whatever, because they had people coming onto the stage before him and after him. And so I think the celebrity status is also what he's after. Look what he does with wrestling, right? He likes to be involved in wrestling. He has been in WrestleMania and all that. So he's looking for that celebrity status.
Yeah, I mean that's
even though he still had it according to his fans, but he's looking for more.
Well, like I said, he's still young. Even though he's
30-something.
Yeah, he's still young. This is his first big thing, and he smashed it. He hit it out of the park. But when you create a business and you get to a certain point where you never thought you'd get there, you had self-doubt about even getting there, and you literally had to like. And Pat, for people that think Pat just walked straight into this, he struggled for a few years trying to build up the channel and do things, and he was small at one point. There's something that and this is where I defend him a little bit. There's something in you that when you finally do it, there's some sort of like, okay, you've reached the top of the hill, and it's an acknowledgement part for him. And I don't know why he can't see if he does want to continue doing this. This is why I think maybe Pat's smarter than we're giving him credit. And it's not that he is not smart enough to see that the thing's going to tank a little bit. It's that he doesn't care because he's accomplished what he's wanted to accomplish. He's made all the money he wants to make, and he does want to step away from everything. He's tired of sports. He's been in sports his entire life, so like maybe he's more burned out on sports than people, really understand. Maybe he wants to walk away. If he doesn't want to walk away 3 or 4 years from now, and he isn't just taking his, his nice little, check and kind of kicking back for 4 years, I really don't know what he's thinking though, unless he's just having a midlife crisis, having a baby's messing with him, because it does. Like anybody has had a newborn, you literally, it's your life changes. Some of the most stressful things you could ever do: get a divorce, get married, move, have a baby, or death in the family. Like those are like the big 5. And when you have one of those, it can screw you up mentally. And it doesn't mean that it sticks forever. It just means you get knocked around inside your noggin. And you watch this guy, he looks half asleep. Every show he's doing now, his eyes are barely open. They're like this. He's like, "Hey guys, so I just want to tell you what's been happening lately." He's completely
different. Dude, you don't sleep yourself.
Yeah, but his eyes are closed. But his eyes are closed. My eyes aren't closed. My eyes are. I have big eyes, Ron. They're like fishnets. You got to see when I go running, I collect bugs in them. When I go run, my eyes are big, wide open. Yeah, his eyes you couldn't even see his eyeballs. He's like this, Ron. He's like, "I just want to give you an announcement."
Yeah.
And so I
wrote a comment on this thing. I said, "Well, you might as well bring out the Bud Light cans and put them on your set." I was just, I think he wants to be part of that celebrity clique. And when you become part of that celebrity clique, whether it's Hollywood or whatever, and you do something they don't like, they ostracize you. So, but I think he wants maybe to become like actor or get some,
maybe
do
Michael,
something else.
Michael says I'm a hater and I always negative, but Smitty has 100 people in here and attack anyone who has a contrary argument. I don't attack anybody as a contrary argument. I literally, it's so funny when people say that I don't allow other arguments on the channel, or I don't, that I don't like anybody that has a different argument. Bro, I have an open phone line where people literally call in and debate me all day long. What do you want from me, Michael? What else do I have to prove to you that I'm not somebody that needs a bunch of yes men around me? I literally have an open phone line where people debate me all the time. Michael, what do you want from me? What more can I do for you to prove that I am not looking for yes men, or that this show doesn't allow conflict? What other show allows more contrarian arguments? What other show, Michael? The answer is 0. That's why you're here. And you are negative. You're negative a lot. I still appreciate you.
He sure as heck. Sure as heck doesn't let me. You go back and forth, and you don't hold it against me, and I don't hold it against you.
I just don't understand when someone says that I don't allow or let negative or contradicting opinions on the show. Negative is different than contradictive. If you're contradictory, if you have a contrarian standpoint, that's different than being a negative drag on the show. A negative drag is very different. So why don't we wipe our hands from that, Michael? Start a new relationship right here. Why don't you be positive in here? Let's go over to Isaac real quick. Isaac, what's up?
All righty. First of all, my daughter, who's 4, her name is Cash Money. She wanted me to call in, but I, of course, have a lot to say anyway. And that's the point, man. That's the difference between a show like this and a Pat McAfee show. He didn't need to make that move.
He didn't.
I think that he figured it would be an inevitable move. I think that was his goal the entire time. And then watching the show, he is the show. I'm not saying his team is a bunch of, buffoons, but they're just a bunch of dudes. And he's running it, and I'm certain that he was getting exhausted. And I think that he's just going to let somebody take over, roll into work, spend a few hours, be himself, walk away with a bag. Life is good. I'm not surprised by the reaction of the fans. But to be honest with you, I sat on it a little bit. And I was like, what better place than ESPN? It's sports. Everybody goes to ESPN.
If I was to defend Pat's decision, like just flip the script, I would just say that not everybody, and clearly Pat was built for it. I just don't know if he wants to be in that position. Being good at something and wanting to do it are two different things. Just because you're really good at building a business and running a business doesn't mean you want to do it. There are a lot of headaches that go into running a show. And that's what I was trying to say earlier, that everybody can be as negative as they want about it from the spectator seats. And this goes for Ron, this goes for me. When you're in the middle of that situation, and mine's a much smaller scale, but it is still a very, very, like, you guys all don't even know half of what I do all day long. You see me on this customer-facing side, but there is so much that goes into thefantasyfootballshow.com. Get over there, by the way, thefantasyfootballshow.com. There's so much that goes into that, into the comments. Do you know how many hours a day I spend on comments? I spend more hours per day replying to comments on Instagram, DMs, my Smitty, my thefantasyfootballshow.com one-on-one text line, my YouTube comments, my Discord, my forum, which is on thefantasyfootballshow.com. The forum is back, baby. It's like the best message board in fantasy football. It's so amazing. It's for the older guys. Discord's too young. A lot of the older guys, 40 and up, they love the forum. It's a little slower. It's like the Discord, but just a little slower moving. The amount of I spend, no offense to everybody watching, I mean this in a nice way. I do more work just on comments than most of you do at work while you're watching the show all day. Okay? Like, there's so much that goes into it. So Pat McAfee doesn't comment. Let's just put it that way. But the amount of stuff he has to do all day long, it's wearing on a person. So to defend Pat in one way, to say that if he's just done with all that, he can't handle it, he'll burn out, he'll quit. And he knows he can't do it anymore. And like you said, the Isaac, even though ESPN is the devil to a lot of people, it is the biggest sports name brand out there. And if he's going to survive another 4 years and walk away, and that's his plan and his mental state, then like it was the move to make for him. It's not going to be a positive move in a lot of ways. He's going to gain as many new followers as he's going to lose, at least, because ESPN does have a lot of people that don't watch him. Think about where Pat is right now. He's on YouTube. Who watches YouTube? The youth, the young guys, and people that have their foothold into, fantasy sports, because that's where you had to go to consume it. But like, there are so many people that don't even know how to watch a show on YouTube. Someone like our parents, people that are even a little younger than our parents that watch ESPN and sports all day, they'll be like, how do you watch the Pat McAfee show? He's going to gain a lot of viewers. Look, it's a sellout. It's a sellout move for sure. What's the rationale reasoning behind it? We don't know. And the bottom line is there's pros and cons to it for him. There's pros and cons to it for him. And for everybody that loves his show for what it is, it's disappointing. Like, it doesn't matter what his reasoning is. His reasoning is his reasoning. And like Ron said, maybe he doesn't want to do the show anymore. He wants to go into wrestling and do all these things. And he's like, you know what? Let me make a little bit more. Let me just make a little bit more money. And then I'm going to go do exactly what I've always wanted to do, which was this, and this. Maybe it wasn't doing the show, which is crazy to a lot of people watching. But maybe he doesn't love what he does anymore. We don't know. We don't know the answer. But for people that love him, it sucks. Because they loved him partly for this independent reason. And now he's going where he's probably going to be censored. And he spent so much time explaining why it was going to be good. And there were so many times where it was a little bit cringeworthy because he's like, we can't say the F word now, which we can here. I usually don't like it here, though. Like, so in all honesty, not because I don't drop F-bombs all the time by myself, you know, or ask Ron. I drop F-bombs all the time when I send him a message. But it's because of the negative culture it can create in your chat. If you're like dropping F-bomb after F-bomb and you have people calling and dropping F-bombs, then you start having people that can't watch you while they're at work. Then you have people that can't. So there's a reasoning behind keeping it semi-clean, and it has nothing to do with my own vocabulary. It has to do with, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where a show goes. But you what?
I mean, the F-bomb, okay, I can deal with that. But when people call in and leave racist comments, that's just no, that's a no good.
Yeah, people are. Some people don't get it, man. Nobody going. Oh, we got another caller here. Muted Mario. Sorry, Mario. I didn't know you were muted. Muted Mario. What's your take on this?
You know me, always muted. I think this is honestly good for him. Like, shout out to Pat McAfee, bro. Like, isn't this the goal? Like, he's gonna have more freedom. He's gonna be able to do like his thing on the side, like Ron was saying, like wrestling, you know, whatever. But like, I don't know. Shout out to him. Like, for you, Smitty. Like, I know you personally. I think you're just gonna always stay independent, do your own thing, like whatever. But if you ever did sign with ESPN, like, I would just give props to you. Like, more people are gonna see your show. You're gonna get more exposure. I don't watch the Pat McAfee show all the time, but I watch, you know, Sports Center. My TV's always on ESPN, essentially. So he's just going to gain another concurrent viewer. You know what I mean? Just from
he'll gain.
Alone.
Yeah, he'll gain as many people, but the thing is, he's not gaining it anymore. ESPN's gaining it. True. Silver worded it very well. ESPN bought out the competition, which is crazy because this is what I was going back to. Pat clearly, he either didn't care. I think he's smart enough. And Ron, you said he doesn't know his own audience. I think he does. I think he's at a point where he doesn't. That's not his objective right now. So he's willing to sacrifice those amount of people. I think he did think he'd have a little bit more positive reaction than he did, and that happens when you're trying to make one of these decisions and you're knee deep into the weeds and you think it's going to go a certain way. You think it could go bad, but you didn't think it was going to go this bad. Thank you, Tanner, for becoming a member. But this is crazy because this is one of those situations where he's bigger than ESPN. He's bigger than ESPN. His reach is way bigger than ESPN's when you look at the grand scheme of everything. And his growth is gonna, what he's been doing lately, breaking news for the first time and becoming like a potential source for players to go to break news. He's got Aaron Rodgers on, that kind of steamrolled this whole thing. Who knows where he would have gone to if he had just kept at it another 2 or 3 years. He might have become, you know how anybody watch Howard Stern? Howard Stern was always vulgar. Howard Stern was always it was just the most crazy thing he could do, stuff that could, never be put on air. That's why he went to Sirius. Over the last couple years, like 5-10 years, Howard Stern was going to retire like 15 years ago, and he's still doing it. He's become a great interviewer, and he's become a great place where bands go to do acoustic, live performances, and he's kind of changed his whole thing. His reach to get somebody in and do one of the best interviews around is easily nobody can compete with him. He changed his game because of his exposure and his reach. And Pat McAfee, who knows if 2 or 3 years from now, he wouldn't have become some sort of like, not just jock type of sports guy. He would have become a place where we actually go to rely upon breaking news constantly. And it would have maybe changed the whole game for him if he waited 2 or 3 years to do this. The fact that again, my point is the fact that ESPN has less reach than McAfee is crazy to me. That it's because ESPN owns them and ESPN's buying them for their child that isn't doing their job well. and is a lesser entity than Pat, but they have the money to come in, scoop it up, and put it there and say, now we've got both of them. It's exactly what Silver said. It's buying the competition. But ESPN by itself, like Pat's goal should have been, I'm coming to buy ESPN. I'm coming to rip ESPN from Disney and make ESPN me. That would have been the move. That would have been, if he had it in him, and I don't think he does. I think that's why he went this route. But does anybody here think that they wouldn't be a fan of that move? Ron, as somebody that hates ESPN for reasons that you hate them, would you be all for Pat McAfee having a vision and saying, I'm going to save up, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to go buy ESPN, take it back for the people, and turn it into mine? Would you have been supportive of that move? Because that move sounds like a move for the people. I would have been so excited if he did that.
I would have been more excited, not for him to buy ESPN, but for him to make his own sports network and put it out there, kind of like Howard Stern did his own thing, and he went to Sirius when Sirius was first getting started, and he helped Sirius, But ESPN, you already said it, that he has a bigger reach than ESPN. So why does he have to go to ESPN? That's where I think he doesn't know his fan base, because just like what Bud Light did, they wanted to bring in alternative audience, right, to their beer, but it backfired on them, and now they're going down the tubes. I don't watch ESPN, and I got my own reasons. I don't like ESPN, but I did like his show. I liked your show. And, yeah, if you were to go over to ESPN, I'd probably stop watching your show,
Thanks,
too,
Ron.
out of principle.
I appreciate the support.
Man, I'm just saying. You got to know your fans. You got to know your fans.
Ron's going to – So, Ron, if ESPN came and offered me $100 million, you wouldn't understand?
I don't want. Yeah, I'd understand, but I wouldn't watch you no more. I'm not going to go over to ESPN and watch you.
I don't believe you, Ron.
Ron won't follow me. Ron, I don't mean to make you. Ron, I don't mean to make you feel bad. If you went, Ron, I don't mean to make you feel bad, but if ESPN hired you tomorrow, I watch you every day just because I want to see you.
Nope. No,
it doesn't
I
matter
would.
the platform.
I would. Look, guys, I watch ESPN. Do I watch ESPN all the time? No. Do I think
I'm not saying they can't watch ESPN, because I'm just saying I don't watch ESPN.
I know,
and I don't.
I'd watch you.
Everybody's free to do what they want to do. I don't care. But I'm just saying, from my aspect,
Ron,
that's how I feel.
Ron, if you became one of the big, what do they call it? What's that one Turk network? The Big Turk or whatever. What's it called? that horrible news show. What's it called?
Young Turks.
Young Turks. Ron, if Young Turks hired you, I would never watch that show, and you couldn't catch me watching that show if you pay me. I watch it for you, Ron. If you went to the Young Turks, I watch you on the Young Turks.
I'd watch you too, Ron.
I'd watch it, Ron. I'd want to see it.
Watch me.
I'd
call myself a sellout. I wouldn't feel good about myself.
Anyway, you know what I'll say though. Can I explain something to people? Because I'm going to be real with you. I'm always honest. I try to never stray you guys or try and suggest something that isn't true just for views or something like that's Michael. You want to know Michael Zastrow why I took offense to your clickbait? Because I don't do that. I don't do clickbait. I don't do sacrifice my show for this or that. Every once in a while you walk a fine line because you know that this title is going to get you more views, like, of course, but like I don't ever want someone to come to my video and say this isn't what the video said it was going to be. I'm out of here. I hate that. I hate when shows do that. I don't think I did that with this title, Michael. That's why I took so offense to your comment when you said, stop, Smitty, this is clickbait. How? I posed a question in my YouTube video that 95% of the people in this room are asking, or no, not even asking, telling me Pat McAfee sold out. 90% of the people in my comments are saying that. So how is me posing it as a question in my YouTube video, clickbait. That offends me, Michael. That offends me. But here's what I was going to say, to be honest with you guys. Okay, so if an ESPN comes to buy out a person like me, or like Michael Florio, or like Matthew Berry, I started this industry slightly after Matthew Berry, before Matthew Berry was bought and acquired by ESPN. What happens when you're acquired from ESPN, or acquired from this, or acquired from that, but especially ESPN or whoever, is you do get minimized. You don't have the reach you used to have. You don't have any freedom to just go live or have a show. You got your own social media and you can kind of control that. But you are controlled. You're given this small little show. We didn't see Michael Florio for years. He was acquired by NBC Sports. And honestly, he vanished for like 5 years. I couldn't find him anywhere once he was acquired. Matthew Berry was acquired, was paid probably very well, and he did very well where he went. But you rarely saw him. You rarely saw him. That's why he's happy that he's not there anymore when you see it in his face when he's out doing his thing, because he gets to do all the stuff he wants to do. If you're acquired by an ESPN and you love what you do, you will be unhappy but get money. It's a pro and a con. You either don't get paid enough to be independent and you get lured in by big money and then you aren't happy doing what you want but you're getting paid a lot, or you sacrifice, dig your heels in, and you get through the part where you're not making as much as you want to make or could make to get yourself into a position where you finally are getting what you were going to get paid years ago and you're doing it on your own. It's a tough balance. It's not easy for any content creator. And this is just me being real. But if somebody was to sell out for $15 million, whether Ron Navy would follow me and watch me or not, as a content creator, you are subject to that kind of temptation along the way, if it ever does present itself, because you're not seeing that kind of money, and money does talk. In the case of Pat McAfee, though, he had all the money he could handle, and FanDuel and all these other companies would have easily funneled whatever money he's getting from ESPN, and they say it's about 15 mil a year. He would have easily got that had he stayed independent. Clearly he didn't want to be independent anymore, and that's the bigger story here. He didn't want to be independent anymore. He didn't want to run the ship anymore. And that's got to be what it comes down to. There's no other explanation. Money doesn't talk in this situation because the money isn't enough comparatively to what he was getting in all these other deals and what he would have got if he called up FanDuel and said, hey, they want to bring me over, kick me 15 more million a year. What do we got to do? Put a banner in the back? Just put a banner in the back? What do we need to do? Do I need to do a FanDuel segment? Do I need to name the phone line after you guys? Do I need to, which by the way, if anybody wants to get the phone line named after their business,
call into the show. Call.
That spot's wide open if anybody wants to purchase that. Adam, very blessed indeed. You're up, bro. And real quickly, to sell out is such a tough thing to define, because would I sell out my phone line to have somebody buy and purchase? So every time I go, all right, guys, we're hitting the phone lines. We're hitting the Ron Navy phone.
Call into the show. Call.
Like, is that selling out? It is. I'm selling out my phone line for an ad spot, you know, but that's the nature of everything. It's always just a little bit of, you know, what are you selling out for? What are you getting? You know, having ads on the YouTube channel at all. Some people say, Smitty, I don't watch your show anymore because you have ads. I got to keep the lights on. Like, there's always parts where you're selling out. It's just a matter of like, what's the pro and con of this particular part of selling out? What's the pro and con of that? That's life. That's life.
You can always go ad free on YouTube. You just got to pay for it. You got to go YouTube Prime, and then you don't get ads.
Yeah. Pat has grinded since he was in high school, and now you want stress free, and that's what I think it is, Vamp. And I agree with Vamp. I agree with Vampy on that one. And I don't hate Pat for it, and I don't think Pat's making a mistake if Pat no longer wants to run his business and he's willing to sacrifice the decline of potentially his brand because he's throwing it into another brand. Okay, Adam, you're live.
Hey, what's up, Smitty?
What's up?
I always find this kind of stuff interesting because so many people are so heated about different sides of it. And I don't know, I've always been like, kind of, well, who cares? It's his business. Just because he's in the public eye, that means, he's doing what he thinks is best for him. And at the end of the day, that's what you can do in life.
Yeah, from your perspective of this, I agree with you. But from the fan perspective who love him, they wait for his show every day, and they're offended by this, their answer to you is, I'm not worried about Pat's angle, I'm worried about my angle. So, like, it just matters what angle you're coming from. From Pat's perspective, I agree with you, 100%. And I don't hate, like, I like Disney. I don't like Disney's stances sometimes and all that, but like, do I take my kids to Disneyland? Do my kids watch Disney movies? Do I have Disney because I love Mandalorian? Like, there's some things about Disney that I love. Do I love the way things go there and get censored, and do I like some of the messaging and stuff? Like, obviously no. So for me, I can separate things. I'm not one of those people that if I hear like an actor say something that I completely disagree with, I'll never watch their movies again. I'm a very, very, things roll off one shoulder and they don't cling on to the other one, and I drag it along constantly. Like, I'm able to really compartmentalize that. I'm able to draft Alvin Kamara. You know, Ron is a different person than me, and it doesn't make Ron bad. It doesn't make me bad. Doesn't make me right. Doesn't make Ron right. Doesn't make either of us wrong. Ron's the kind of guy that if someone said something, he would literally never watch you again for the one thing. I'm the kind of person that could be like, that was a dumb thing to say or whatever. We're just two different people. I can draft Alvin Kamara because I can think, okay, this is business. Not to mention, I come from it from a different lens because I'm trying to advise you all how to win, and I can't hold on to some sort of like principle about Alvin Kamara when Alvin Kamara can win you a league, and I got to tell you about that. We got to show how that works. So those are different perspectives. Neither's right or wrong. They're just different approaches to, humanity. But like from what you're saying, Adam, yes, it's his life. He can do what he wants, and kudos to him. And, honestly, I'm going to give him a standing ovation for getting a bag and doing what he did, starting from the ground floor, doing what he did, creating something and paving a way for content creators that was kind of open there and available, but he made it, he busted the ceiling. And so we all, content creators, owe him a lot, and not a whole lot of negativity right now to say, hey, Pat, you paved the way. And you also showed that you can go from nothing and get bought out by ESPN and get $15 million a year. The question is, from a fan perspective, it's disappointing, and that I understand, because a fan loved that independence and what he brought to the table. And so it's just different points of view, but I get it.
With that being said, I love the show too. I watch it all the time as well. And it's disappointing because I don't watch ESPN because I just don't like watching ESPN. It always feels fake, too scripted, and they got to watch how they say stuff. And, it's going to suck that he's going on there. But,
yeah, Russian
collusion. I always kind of keep my emotions in check when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah.
I try to my mom always taught me to see perspectives of everyone's perspective.
Yeah, your mom's smart. Your mom instilled some good, some good thinking there. So yeah, ESPN will dictate what he talks about. Imagine someone telling Smitty what he could talk about. That's what Collusion said. Collusion, I appreciate your point of view and your super chat especially. Thank you so much. Smitty, if he got a contract with Mike Florio on ESPN, Smitty, if he got a contract with Mike Florio on NFL Fantasy, I'm not sure what that means, but Isaac, I think I know what you're trying to say. And this super chat from Vampy says, biggest UFC journalist sold out and joined ESPN. A few years later, he went back to independent and is as big as ever. I do believe, like Ron said, that there'll be some damage done you can't repair. Maybe. But he's also going to go gain a lot of, like, from a marketing perspective and from a building a business perspective, I can say with confidence that what Vampy's saying is correct. If he was to go over to ESPN, which he will, lose a lot of fans, then decide to branch back out 4 years later, maybe some of those fans that left won't return. Maybe some of them will. Maybe a majority of everybody crying and complaining is going to go over anyways and watch him because they love the show. And then when he leaves ESPN, he's poaching so many people he didn't have to come follow him. And then what is it? You lose some, you gain some. Is it an even wash? Is it an advantage to him? And so Vampy's right. He could be bigger than ever. And it could be one of those things where, like, honestly, when I always try and tell you guys my path, and when I've done this for 20 years, when I did sell to be acquired, and I worked for a company, a large fantasy football business, and I wrote for them. I was editor in chief, and I thought it was what I wanted. I was in my 20s. I thought it was what I wanted. I thought it was what or I was in my early 30s actually. I thought it was what I wanted. I thought that I wanted a stress-free environment, and at the moment I did. And I didn't want to run the day-to-day business. I just wanted to get a check and create content. And it was regrettably, and I don't regret it at the end of the day because it made me who I am, and I don't think I'd be where I'm at if I didn't go down that road. But I did it because I thought it was the easier path, the stress-free path. And so when I jumped back into what I'm doing, people were excited. There wasn't a lot of like, oh, you sold out, I'm gone, I'm not doing that anymore. But when I did do that, and people that followed me on my platforms and content, and when I went and worked for this brand solely for 3-4 years, many years ago, it wasn't the most received thing when it happened. There's a lot of negativity, but I bounced back from that. You guys are watching me now, not judging me. Half of you don't even know that, any of this happened. You follow me, for go forward for what I do here. But like, that's what it is. That's what it is. C-Mac says Smitty needs a phone line person. Smitty, or is this C-Mac calling in? C-Mac, is this you? Is this C-Mac?
Smitty.
What's up, C-Mac? I'm sorry. I a lot of people die. I do need a phone person. What's up, pal?
Yeah, you need a phone moderator. What's going on, man? Great show so far, man. You're really on top of your game right now.
Thanks. Appreciate it, C-Mac. Hold on. ESPN? ESPN's calling. You 15 million. I'm in. Hold on. Let me end my show. Guys, I got to go. I'm just kidding. What's up, C-Mac? So what do you think on this?
Hey, man, not much. I'm all for it, man. Like, Pat is the kind of guy that has his own vision, I feel like, and I don't think he would go into the situation like with ESPN and them having like some crazy creative control. Like, he still could be him. I feel like the only thing that's going to change is he can't say the word fuck a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Good for Pat, man. He's so like just talented and does a lot of things with the wrestling, and he just has his own vision, and he just goes out there and like, I don't know, just gets it. And the kind of like content that he was producing, like, my page and how I run it, and like the censorship and all that stuff that's going on. I feel like a lot of it is like, when people are like, yeah, if Biden gets elected, we're moving out of the country. Like, I feel that that's what a lot of his following is doing right now. But damn well they're going to be, chiming in, peeping, seeing what's going on with the show. And good for Pat, like, it's going to be in different areas, like barbershops, bars, like, airports.
Can we also say this? Can we also say this, C-Mac? Yeah. I'm not saying this is how it will go, because everyone's scared of ESPN just minimizing the show and trying to control things.
Right.
But can we give Pat a little bit of wiggle room to say he said he's going to go over and he's not going to be censored? He can't say this, he can't say that in terms of like, certain language, but they're not going to control his content is what he's saying. And if he fails on delivering on that, then I think everybody can really jump ship and say, okay, you really did sell out because you told us. But can we say for a moment, maybe he's going over to try and change the culture and try and retake over, so like there is some of that argument that I think nobody's leaving any wiggle room for. And I agree with that stance. Like, maybe we watch him and see what happens, maybe he changes ESPN.
Right. I think one thing that I took big from what he said today was that a lot of ESPN right now is a lot of negative. Like, when they're debating, it's all about the negatives of sports. What they kind of do is talk about the positives of these players and athletes and their topics are more positive, more so than they are negative in the debates, such as like, you know, how Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith started that thing, which he spoke on today. So I think he really is trying to go over there to change the direction of where ESPN is right now, and for him to be like the mogul and to be that guy to change that, I feel is what's driving him the most right now. Because, I mean, his show was successful, man. Like, if you can't say a few cuss words here and there, I mean, the idea of the show and where it is going and the creative control, like, it's in a good place, obviously. People are wanting to buy a show and partner with him, so I don't know, man.
I
Give
guess
it a chance.
I guess the question I have for you, though, because you're more supportive than most people, do you think that the reason he did it was because he's tired of the operations, the day-to-day, the amount of time it takes? Because, again, people don't even realize how much goes – they don't. They just – and they can't. It's not anyone's fault. Yeah. But I'm on a much smaller scale than Pat McAfee, and people don't even understand the amount of time that goes into everything that I do. You know what? I've thought about live streaming a whole day of mine just so somebody could see what I do all day, because it's crazy. It's exhausting to go to work for 4 or 5 hours and to go home and not even have to answer your phone and just sit. Like, I can understand where he's coming from if you're going to get 15 mil a year. But if that's not his objective, though, what would be the reason? There is no reasoning unless he did want to change ESPN and sports for the long term, which I don't get a sense that's his vibe, because he just had a kid, and I think he wants to step away a little bit. But, I mean, it's a little disappointing in that, like, who knows where things would have gone for him had he waited another 2 or 3 years. Like I said with the Howard Stern example, Howard Stern pushed through that whole, like, he was just a mess. Like, everything he did was just disgusting and all that, and everybody loved it. Like, I listened to Howard Stern show back in the day, too. But he's become one of the better interviewers, and you want to get on a show because you're going to get a lot of exposure. And I feel like Pat McAfee was going to morph into something even bigger had he waited 2 or 3 years, because this whole breaking news thing was brand new for him this year and the past year. He was starting to become somebody that where people would go to break news. People would leak stuff to him. And if you wanted to get something out there, you wouldn't just say, I'm going to go to ESPN, I'm going to leak it to Shefty. You would say, you know what, I'm going to go on the Pat McAfee show where I've got a bigger audience, a positive audience. And if I'm going to go announce that I'm going to be traded somewhere, or I'm going to go announce some big breaking news, Pat McAfee's going to pump up his 30, 40, 50,000 congruent viewers, and I'm going to have 30,000 people cheering me on. He would have been a magnet for breaking news. So that's the part that's disappointing, is because he's going to lose a lot of that. Like, he might gain more viewers, he might lose viewers, gain viewers, but he's certainly going to change that direction he was heading. And part of me just wishes...
But do you think a part of what he's already created with his show sticks with him, to where people, like, still athletes will still, like, all right, yeah, but he's with ESPN, but it's still Pat. Like, it's still... He's like, you think he's already created that, or like, imagine
Maybe.
like I went to a bar stool, right? And the following that I have, like, with my content, it's pretty diehard. So I feel like that creative that he's already, like, created, I feel like that's stuck with a lot of people right now. So just because it's an ESPN I don't think it really affects how people view Pat. Like, I feel like most of those people are like, oh man, you're on a worldwide network now. You're in countries. He's literally gonna live stream on YouTube while being on ESPN and being on the ESPN app. Like, there's a lot of avenues. I feel like people are just more excited for him that he's getting a bigger bag.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's certainly going to be interesting. I'm certainly, rooting for him still. I'm not like against Pat McAfee. And again, I watch ESPN. I'm not going to lie and say I don't watch ESPN. Do I feel like ESPN's changed a little bit over the years? Obviously, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Do I still feel like there's some good parts about it? Sure. Like I said, is there some parts about Disney as a whole that make me mad on this or that? Sure. Do I love Mandalorian? Yeah. Yes. Am I not going to watch Mandalorian because of some political stance or something? Absolutely not. I'm watching Mandalorian every time it's out. Mandalorian, baby. So like I get it all. I understand it all. And from a content creator perspective, and especially the amount of time I put, like, I understand Pat's decision. I understand it. It's just a matter of where he wanted to go from that point on, and clearly he didn't want to keep going the direction he was going. And I think the Brett Favre situation was so stressful on him. Yeah. He had no protection on that, and I think maybe he got scared and spooked a little bit, and he said, you know what, I just want out. But the crazy part is, C-Mac, if it was about money, and it's not, he could have went to FanDuel and said, what do we do? Name the bathrooms after you? What do we do? Do we put FanDuel on the middle of the basketball court? What do I do to get $15 million more a year from you guys for the next 4 years? They would have easily given him that amount of money. There's no financial reason this went down. Everyone says he did it for the money. He didn't do it for the money. FanDuel just gave him $125 million for 4 years. He's getting $15 million a year from ESPN reportedly. So it's not even like FanDuel would have crapped out $15 million a year if that's what he wanted. Yeah. He would just have to figure out what he needed to do. I don't know. It's crazy, but I think people are a little overly critical of him, and the fact that it's still free on YouTube, I think people are complaining a little too much, and I think people do need to give him a chance before they completely shut it down. Like these people say, I'm not going to watch. That's a little close-minded to not even give it a look-see. You know, give it a little peek.
Right.
Give it a little peek. See what it feels like. And if they say, hey, you can't talk about this, maybe Pat's got it in his contract to walk away. And like Vamp said, maybe he walks away and he becomes bigger than ever because he parts ways with ESPN, says, screw it, I'm out of here. And everyone goes, yeah, he's back. And they start, celebrating that. And how many people are really, if you were a diehard Pat McAfee fan, you're probably not leaving him anyway. And if you were a diehard Pat McAfee fan that did get so upset that you're pissed off and not watching, you're probably going to forgive him if he comes back to the independent world. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think if the decision too was because of the workload, then you got to start looking at the team around him. Like if that really is if that really is a concern, it's his workload. And yeah, he just had a baby, so I get that too. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see what happens. Even if I feel like, okay, this had such a nice feel of independence to it. I'm excited to see what happens. Maybe he gets in there and changes the culture over there because, he threatens to walk away and he's got in his contract. We don't know what's in his contract.
I think that's his driving tool.
We don't know what's in his contract. We don't know how it's all laid out. Like if they say we can control everything you do, and if he sits there and goes, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and talk negatively about this report, and they walk in and say, you can't mention Schefter's name. Or, hey, they walk in and say, you can't break this report. Adam Schefter's breaking it. I don't know if you've heard those rumors before where Ian Rapp, I think it was Schefter. There was somebody at ESPN or NFL Network. I forget which. I think, where's Shefty? Shefty's mainly at ESPN, right?
Yeah, ESPN,
yeah, there was somebody that was on a radio show breaking a piece of news, and he got a call that said he had to apologize to Schefter for breaking the news. It wasn't like anything that anybody had any control of. He just heard from a source that something was going to happen. He broke it. Dude was reprimanded for breaking the news because he was stepping on Schefter's line of business. If something like that happens, I think Pat McAfee would walk. And if he doesn't, then people are going to notice and people aren't going to watch as much. But we'll see. I don't think Pat's going to fold to that. But we'll see. No idea what's going through his mind right now. C-Mac, as a man that's had children, and I know you have, this children can change your thinking. Children can wear you down and wear you down to a little nub. And you might be needing a break, and maybe Pat's exhausted. You could see him; his eyes are closed when he's talking. He's half asleep when he breaks this news, and he's talking on a show. Who knows? Who knows?
Listen, I have a 13 and 12-year-old right now, right? I literally have a newborn due in 2 months.
Thank you, Terry.
So, and I'm younger than Pat, right? And I'm just like, man, did I make a mistake? Because I just feel old, and now just have a newborn and do that all over again. It's got to be tough. And then piling that workload that, like you mentioned, like even for your show, and then his workload on top of that, dude, that's fucking tough.
Yeah. All right, C-Mac, you can hang on the line if you want, or if you got to go, no problem. Let me go back over to Ron.
I'm going to go and hang out with the kids, and I'll stay tuned in.
Sell out. Go hang out with the kids over the show. Sell out. Get out of here. Take a lap.
No, I'm gonna keep the show on. I'll keep the show on. But
Okay,
let me go see how the kids' day was.
I got you.
called
Okay,
right when I got off of work.
My bad.
Instead of seeing how the kids' day was.
Okay. All right. Later, C-Mac. Appreciate you.
All right, bud. Here. Bye.
All right, Ron, go ahead. I know you probably got some rebuttals to all that.
Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, we're total opposite. See, I'm the type of person I don't hate Pat McAfee, but I don't like ESPN, and I won't support ESPN. So because he's going to ESPN, and I won't support ESPN because they've when you mentioned it, they've changed over the years, and when they started interjecting politics and their political views into sports network, I was like, nope, I had enough. I ain't dealing with this. You ruin the whole thing. It's just like when they try to do it in the NFL. It's like, I want to watch the game. I don't want an introduction. I don't want to see people kneeling for the flag after I spent 20 years in the Navy and everybody else. That's disrespectful. I think these players have their own platforms, and they can use their platforms, and if they have anything, go out and use your platform and protest that way. But don't sit there and I stopped playing fantasy football for 2 years while that stuff was going on, and I stopped watching football for 2 years. I see a show and if they interject political stuff, I turn it off. I don't watch it no more. That's the type of person I am. That's how I am, and a lot of people are like that. Now, but I don't begrudge people for doing what they want. If people want to watch football or people want to watch McAfee over on ESPN or what, but those are my views, and I stay to my views, and that's just how I am. And maybe it's because I spent 20 years in the Navy and I'm a patriot and all that. But that's just how I am. And so, yeah, if you went to ESPN, I'm sorry, Smitty, but I'm not going to watch. I love you, but I'm not going to support ESPN, a company that I can't stand. I'm not going to support them.
Thanks, Ron.
I can't do it.
Appreciate that.
That's just
Terry Roberts says
my
he'd follow
thing.
me. Terry Roberts would follow me anywhere. He just super chatted it. He'd follow me anywhere.
Yeah, that's his thing. People will follow you over there if you were to
This
go
is
over
like
there.
Ron saying
I
that.
won't.
Ron saying that unnecessarily to me is like sitting down your girlfriend or your fiance and saying, "If you do this, I will leave you." when they're like, "Okay, well, thanks for putting in my head that there's a reason you leave me." Ron.
No, I'm just saying I'm not going to support.
I know, Ron. I get you, and you know what? I appreciate that about you. I'm not even offended by it. It is who you are. It's the get off my lawn, Ron in you, and I understand you. I don't judge you. I don't want you to change for anybody. You keep being you. But I can understand what Pat's doing is what I'm saying. I just don't know if his goal is to keep growing and never stop being in this business. It was probably the wrong move. But like Vamp said, if he goes over, comes back, he could be bigger than ever. He really could. I know you said that maybe those people would damage the relationships, but he will go grab an older audience and bring them with him over, and the younger audience is going to forgive him, and they're probably not going to stop watching him. If I had to predict a decline in viewership, I bet you it's like C-Mac said, if Biden gets elected, I'm moving. Who's really moving? When Trump was elected, I'm going to move. Who really moved? Nobody. So do I think that people are going to cry wolf and then not really act on it? I do. I think if I had to throw a number on it, I would guess that maybe 5 to 8% of people that say they're going to stop watching will actually stop watching. And part of that, if it's a little higher than that, let's call it 10 to 12%. Part of that is because those people don't have ESPN, but ESPN's free on YouTube, the YouTube channel. So who knows what the excuse will be. And maybe it'd just be people saying they don't want to. What will be interesting is if they do something crazy. Like, everything they do is going to be judged, bro. Like, everything they do. People are going to, like, maybe they make the price to be an exclusive member. Maybe they make it like $1 more or something, and people are going to flip out. Or if they make it free everyone's going to flip out. Everyone's going to flip out no matter what they do. We used to have an exclusive membership for $1 or 99 cents to $1, and now they don't have it. So now I don't have a green name. And then if they did it, they'd be like, oh, now ESPN's charging. You know, so like everything they do, everyone's going to rip them apart. And I just wonder what it's going to be like in the comment section of every live stream, because you know it's going to be nonstop. As liked as Pat was and still is, his comment section's littered with negativity. Just, you sell out, you do. On his wife's Instagram, people are writing sell out everywhere. It's crazy.
What, Smitty? Look at this community you built, right? And look at what you – I mean, I'm talking to you on the phone right now. A lot of people call up, talk to you. I mean, this thing here. So what do you think happens if you sit there and you get offered $15 million to go to ESPN? Are you going to have us being able to call into your show? Are you going to be able to interact with us? No, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to have any interaction with us whatsoever no more. So thank you for going to ESPN, Smitty, just like you said thank you for not going and watching you on ESPN. You know what I'm saying?
I'm at ESPN, Ron. I'm at ESPN, Ron. I can't hear you.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Look, I'd be blowing.
Who's Travis Rowe? I don't remember those.
I would
people.
be blowing smoke up your rear end if I said I wouldn't take a $60 million deal with ESPN right now. But I'm not gonna get that.
No, you should. You should take it. But what I'm saying is,
but
your show wouldn't be what it is right now.
Right, agreed. But
ESPN show wouldn't be
here's the reality, though.
The whole thing about the show is we get to interact with you, and there's no other shows out there like yours, right?
But see,
so if you were to go to ESPN,
I would package that in. I would package that in. I would package that in, and if they said no, I would probably, okay.
No, you wouldn't. You would take the $15 million and go, okay, I'm in.
Yes, sir.
No, you would.
Yes, sir. What is my topic sheet for today? How much I love Adam Schefter. Okay, shoot. Look, hey, I'll just click this button.
Once a show, the chat can spam this arrow emoji.
I'll just flip the script on myself every topic, just and talk about it. Look, I get what everybody I get what everybody's saying, and I'm not going to get bought out for $15 million a year. I can tell you that right now. If my whole point is, if someone tried to pay me a salary, if someone tried to pay me a handsome salary, I would shoot that down because I don't want to work for anybody. I'm building something here. I want my business, and we're still not even close to being there yet. This is still very ground floor. I want this business to eventually pay me, and not just because I'm money hungry, because I want to live this life forever. I want to be on this show till I pass out and never wake up again. And I believe whatever would be tempting to walk away salary-wise, I'm going to get there on my own, so I'm going to dig my heels in and go. The difference would be if someone came in and offered something I'll never reach or attain on my own. But then again, look what Pat McAfee did. Pat McAfee was smaller than we were at one point. Everybody is, and he got $120 million from FanDuel. So I would still struggle if someone came by and said, hey, Smitty, here's this X million dollars. It would depend on what's going on, but it would be, I'm telling you right now, if it was 60 mil, I would never dream, and even if I was wrong, I'd be okay with it because I get 60 mil. But like, I'm not getting that.
You need to read this. You need to read this $20 super chat.
All right, hold on. Thank you, Ron. Ron owns the show right now. Ron's playing the role of ESPN. Hold on. FYI, Ron, there are patriots that think a young man has the right to kneel to bring attention. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Let's not go there.
No, read it out. Read it out. No, read it out. Seriously, because he's right. I believe in that. I think, but it's also my right to not watch and to tune out that. Now, if they want to go on a different platform, I'll listen, but not when I'm trying to watch football. That's my big thing.
Pal, I appreciate.
He's totally right.
I appreciate the super chat.
I don't disagree with them. I know there's patriots out there, and you got the freedoms. I agree with that.
Pal
100%.
Derby. I remember Pal Derby. I forget what Pal Derby. God, I remember that name, Pal. I forget what you used to. You used to come in here a lot, and I forget what you used to. What you used to do. I think you would drop a super chat, but I forget. Like I kind of forget what kind of like vibe you brought to the show or what questions you asked. Like it's been a while, Pal Derby. Pal Derby hasn't been here for a while. At least you haven't commented in a while. Appreciate your super chat. Isaac dropping this one. If I found out you were. I still tune in for the laughter. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Isaac. Okay. Yeah, one thing I do try not to do is go political just because people get so pissed off. Every side gets pissed off.
No, I'm not trying to be political or nothing. I'm just saying my personal thing is I view it as during the national anthem. And I tune out. I love the idea that they put those things on the back of their helmets and get their messages out that way. I don't have a problem with that. Or
thank you, Russian.
In the end zone.
Thank you, Russian.
I don't have a problem with that.
Michael with another negative comment. Michael, let's review Michael's comments. Michael says he's not always negative. Let's look at every single one of them. Maybe I'm being critical of Michael. He didn't sell out. Stop with the clickbait. From someone who won Smitty's lifetime membership, I'm not a hater, just offering a different perspective. I'm not going anywhere. Well, that's good. He's still staying live on YouTube. Okay, that wasn't positive. I'm a hater, always negative, but Smitty has over 100 people on here and attacks anyone who has a contrary argument, which is not accurate. We are going to talk fantasy this live or a different one. I mean, this is a big topic, bro. My show isn't just about mock drafting, Michael. Okay? I know everybody wants it to be. That's not what I want. I'm not just a mock draft channel. I'm a sports and fantasy football entertainment show. And eventually, not on this channel because I don't want to destroy this channel and what the vibe is here and what it's made for. But I have another channel. It's the Smitty Report. And eventually, I want to take this type of topic here and just have these conversations on that sports channel all the time, whether it's talking about, anything sports related whatsoever. So that will eventually be part of the brand. We have the Dynasty channel. We'll have the sports channel. We have this main channel for fantasy football. Michael, am I negative? Ha ha ha. I'm negative. Are we talking fantasy? Haha, bro, that $20 super chat. If it doesn't work out, I feel McAfee will leave ESPN. Don't put it past him. Not all those were negative. But Zastro, I'd love to see a positive super chat by him.
Wow, there you go, Smitty.
Lee, appreciate you becoming...
Pat gifted 50.
Who?
Members. Pat Derby. He just gifted
Derby?
50 membership.
Holy smokes. Pat Derby gifting 50. Like, I have to turn this off because it's going to go for 50. That's how awesome. That's how awesome. 50. Gifted 50.
I don't think I've seen anybody gift that many.
That's the biggest YouTube gifted membership we've ever seen. That is the 50th.
You should put that on the board.
50.
Put that on the board.
That's many.
Epic.
So, look at all these people getting these memberships. Lewis got one. Too many. Peanut Butter Names got one. Rojo got one. Brian got one. Everybody's getting one. Everybody. If he gave 50 away, we got over 100 people in the room. Half of the people in here are getting YouTube gifted memberships. I don't even know, because we got a lot of YouTube gifted members YouTube members in here. I don't even know if we have 50 people in this chat right now. So it's going to give them to people that aren't even on the show right now. This guy's absolutely exploding. Pat Derby, ladies and gentlemen. The Derbmeister. The Patinator. Everybody give Pat Derby your thanks for dropping a massive wad on screen. Pat Derby out here like ESPN today. I will never be gifted a membership, says Jeremy W. Let's see. I have a feeling you're going to get one from Pat Derby tonight. Let's wait and see. Jeremy says he's not getting one. Let's wait. Yeah, the Derbmeister has done it again. Did Jeremy W. not get one? The odds are against that. Because Pat Derby just gifted half of the people in here one. Did Michael Zastro get one? If I could take Michael's and give it to Jeremy W., I just might. Unless Zastro starts dropping some positivity in here. I will never need one, says Jeremy W. Why? Golf Boy says, thank you, Pat. We got another $10 hauler. Pat Derby, cheers. Smitty, appreciate you, Virtues, for dropping that $10 hauler. All $10 haulers get a moonshot. Appreciate you, my guy. All right, let's go back over to Adam. Adam, what do you got?
Hey, Smitty. I was just listening to everybody. I was going to say the guy who did the membership, he should put a prediction on the board.
Pat Derby? Yeah, Pat. That's true. Hey, Pat Derby, for the $50 drop, bro, give me your bold prediction. We'll put it on the board. So give me your biggest bold prediction, Pat. C-Mac was gifted a membership by Terry Roberts.
Hey,
Terry dropped one. Terry, I'm sorry.
Terry dropped 5.
Terry dropped 5. Look at me. Not even. Terry dropped 5. Matthew Boyd dropped 20. Matthew Boyd dropped 20. Terry dropped 5. I think Jeremy W's getting one. Keep an eye out. Jeremy W. saying he's not going to get one.
Terry, you get a membership. You get a membership. You get a membership.
I might get one. I might get one.
To your own show.
Terry dropping a 5-burger. Matthew Boyd dropping a 5-burger. Terry. This will be so funny if I get one. I mean, I don't know that it's possible, but did Jeremy W. get one yet?
I didn't see it yet.
80 gifted memberships given out to 100 of the 116 people in here. 80 of them got memberships. Mr. Random says RIP to who? Who's RIP? Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you. Does it give you a membership if you already have one? I don't know. It could pile it on to the end of it, maybe, but I think it would probably search and give people that aren't watching right now on my channel. But look at C-Mac got one from Terry Roberts. So C-Mac, if you're listening right now, you've got the green name, you've got all the extra emojis, you've got you're all. I didn't even know a membership was a thing. C-Mac, can we get you to drop some of the exclusive emojis like the Bijan Robinson? I know there's no Niner players in there. It's going to upset you when you go in there. But could you drop a couple just to test it out? C-Mac, if you're not busy with the kids selling out.
You ripped away from his kids.
Yeah. Do it for the kids. I was joking, Smitty. I pay, bro. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy. I didn't even see you had a green name. My bad.
There's still some people that I see without one yet.
One of my favorite Johnny Cash songs, Don't Go Mixing Politics. Yeah. Appreciate you, Freddie. Yep. Appreciate you, Freddie. I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind a political show as well. Like it's in the cards someday. Not now, someday. I do enjoy a little debate. As you know, little political show would do Smitty. I know Ron would be up for yelling and screaming all the time. C-Mac dropping some YouTube exclusive membership emojis. Appreciate you. We're letting this thing go for days. I know this might be a little overwhelming to hear this spaceman dancing constantly, but C-Mac is official now. All right, let's get on to some football. We talked to Pat McAfee for an hour and 47 minutes. It's obviously big news, and it's a content creator, path that this guy's, helped creating. So it is relevant to this channel from a different perspective that people don't want to acknowledge. Pat Derby dropping a $2 hauler. No prediction, just love the show. Even Ron Navy. Appreciate you, Pat Derby. Pat Derby doesn't even want to drop a prediction. He just says he loves the show. I need a Lance emoji. Lance needs the job before we can give him an emoji. We got limited real estate. However, Pat Derby, can I just say Pat Derby, absolute machine. Pat Derby, appreciate you. You probably opened up about 2 or 3, maybe at least 2 more exclusive member emojis, because YouTube unlocks more as you gain more YouTube exclusive members. So Pat Derby just opened up probably 2 or 3 emojis for us. So what I want to do is potentially make an emoji for the highest super chatter of the year at that moment in time. Ron Navy's got one. He's the lifetime leader. But we've got Aloha, who is currently the biggest super chatter in a single live stream. Where is that? Right here. Here it is. Right down here. Aloha has a $300 super chat in one live stream. Ron's got the highest lifetime super chat ever. But the biggest super chat so far of the year is $300 from Aloha. So Aloha, congratulations, pal. You're getting your own emoji on the channel. But the emoji for this particular one gets replaced every time there's a new leading super chatter for the year. So it is Aloha's for now. The moment somebody drops $301, that emoji becomes theirs. But congrats on the emoji. We'll probably add a Christian Watson emoji if I had to guess. Who on the Moon Men do we not have yet?
The Moon Men dropping loads in outer space.
We don't have a London emoji. We got a Gibbs one now. We got a Lave. We got a Kincaid emoji. We got a Walker emoji. We don't have a Charbonnet emoji. We don't have a Fields emoji. We don't have a Pollard emoji. I would guess we're going to start off with Watson, and then we'll go from there.
You don't have a Pickens emoji.
Yeah, we don't have a Pickens emoji. Texas made still mad at them Cowgirls got sent home 2 years in a row by the Niners. Hey, C-Mac, I don't want to get into the whole Niner thing, but you guys got to get your quarterback situation under control, and you need to go talk to Trey Lance and tell him to get some balls and to go out there and fight for the job and to talk to the media like he's going to go take the job and not act like he's talking to his teacher or something. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just going to be. He needs to get the dog in him, bro. He needs to get that dog, that fight, and go get that job, C-Mac, because his coach isn't supporting him. His coach isn't enabling him, C-Mac. So you've got the most talented roster in the National Football League over there in San Francisco, C-Mac, and you got no quarterback. So don't waste this window of opportunity to walk into the NFC Championship game to face off against the Eagles and get your quarterback room on point, C-Mac. And until then, Lance ain't getting an emoji until I see that dog and fight him. Right now, he looks like he's just going to walk into a camp battle instead of saying the job's mine. The job was mine. It's going to be mine. I love Brock Purdy. I appreciate him. But I'm going to go rip that job straight from his kung fu grip instead of, it's his job. I got to go earn it. Even though I'm going to be set up for failure. Sam Darnold got the top bunk. Sam Darnold got the top bunk. Trey Lance just accepted the bottom bunk. Traded Lance for Bijan, Love. What? Okay, let's get back to football. Traded Lance for Bijan, Love, and Will Levis. Still have Herbert, super flex dynasty. Traded Lawrence for Bijan, Love. I like it. I like it. I like Jordan Love enough that I could downgrade Trevor Lawrence for Jordan Love to get Bijan. I, Smitty, approve that trade.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Not sure I'd Smitty approve that trade if you weren't getting a quarterback I truly believed in Love. I think Love's going to be pretty decent. I think he's got a lot to prove. There's definitely some risk involved, but I definitely like that move a lot. This right here, Pat, I'll get to do bold prediction. Very Blessed says, Pat, I'll get to do a bold prediction for you. If we win, you can have the prize. Is Adam still on the line here?
Yeah, I suck at typing. Sorry.
You what?
I was trying to type and do a draft at the same time. I was trying to do a draft and type at the same time. But
Yeah.
I was gonna tell him I would do a bold prediction for him, and if it wins, he can have the prize. I just like to put my prediction on the board personally.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that because you know what? I want him to have a prediction on the board. So let's go ahead and do that. So you give me your prediction, and I'm gonna put / Derby. It's gonna be both of you. Prize is gonna go to Derby. My guess is Derby gives it back to you the way this guy is. So let's go do the board. All right, hit me with your prediction.
My prediction is Josh Allen will win the MVP this year, and the Buffalo Bills will finally get to the Super Bowl.
What is today? The 17th? Okay, so your prediction is what? Josh Allen, 5-17. This is Derby and...
Let's just go. He's going to win the MVP this year.
Josh
To give him a shot to win.
Allen, MVP. Super Bowl win?
Yeah, go ahead and put Super Bowl win on. I said make the Super Bowl, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's gotta be, yeah, that's bold enough. All right, so that's you and Derbs. You and the Derbmeister. You're sharing a...
Good luck, Pat. Hope it wins for you.
You and the Derbmeister are sharing bunk beds there on the prediction. Little karate in the garage. Where's Denny? You know, Denny's actually really upset at me. I don't know how long this is going to go on. These, Lord knows. Did everybody watching raise your hand in the chat if you didn't get a gifted YouTube membership? Because we had so many, we had over 100 given, and we've got 111 people in here. I think every person in here.
George from the Bay didn't get one.
I'm sure it's on the way. I don't know. I don't know if it's still giving them or if they're all given and it's just reporting back now. I'm not sure.
Didn't get one. There's a bunch of people that still haven't gotten one.
All right, Tristan with the $5 holler. I don't know if I'm forgetting any super chats. Let me just go ahead and look real quickly. Super chats. Tristan says, I don't get the doubt on Christian Watson outside this community. The complaint is always he can't maintain the touchdowns. He passed the eye test. Let me just tell you something. My Christian Watson content's about to get ramped up. This is the next Deebo Samuel. And C-Mac's watching right now. He probably just spit up whatever he's drinking right now because he's, biasly in favor of Deebo being the best player in the NFL. But this Christian Watson kid is becoming the next Deebo Samuel. But he'll do it in a different way. He's not going to run. He's not going to have the rushing yards that Deebo had the year Deebo, was a monster. That was a unique situation, specific year. Deebo's now a 200 to 300 yard rusher. I don't think he's going to be some sort of, 500 yard rusher, 700 yard. He's a 200 to 300 yard rusher, which is a lot of yards for a receiver. That's a lot. That is a lot. He's a 3 to 4 touchdown rusher, Deebo, 200 to 300 yard rusher. I think Christian Watson could easily run for 150 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns in 2023. I think Christian Watson, who's 6'5", runs a 4.28 40, is about to become a top 6 to 10 wide receiver in the National Football League, and he will be a wide receiver, fantasy football wide receiver 1 in hindsight for people scooping this kid up in the 4th round. He's starting to climb. I think you're going to need to take him in the bottom of the 3rd round. You already kind of have to. In some of the slow drafts, you're seeing him rise up because the ADP's been getting adjusted during drafts, and he's now kind of like barely falling to 4.1. And you're soon going to have to pay 3rd round value, but he'll be worth 3rd round value. Absolutely love Christian Watson. He's an absolute monster. Derby, appreciate your $2 hauler. Freddie, appreciate your $4.99 hauler. Kevin says this one is for Babe Ruth. Ball you sent to Scott Fish on the Bird app made me laugh. Appreciate you. That was funny. The Scott Fish ball. Scott found a baseball that had like big handwriting Babe Ruth on it. And he said he was joking because is this ball real? I mocked up something on Twitter. It was funny. Kevin, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Kevin. Kevin, are you still here? Gravy says Pat Derby over Pat McAfee. Maybe he could replace him. I appreciate that. Thank you, Isaac, for Pet Derby out here like ESPN today. Appreciate that super chat. Isaac dropping another one. I found. Oh, I already got to that one. Thank you. Kevin, did I get Kevin's super chat? Ask Ron. Kevin, are you still here? I'm sorry if I missed this. Kevin, to the moon, Kevin. Maybe I got this one. Let me read it real quick. Ask Ron that if a political view he agreed with was mentioned, would he still turn... What does he say?
Oh, I think he's saying if because I said if the show gets political, I turn it off. And
off.
No matter what.
He's trying to say off. Okay.
I mean, if it's a show, if it's like an entertainment show, like The Mask, where they got all political or whatever the show is, or football, I just want to watch football. I just want to watch The Mask. If they go political, I turn it off because to me, there's no need to have any politics, whether it's left side or right side or any side in these shows. A lot of these shows, I'm not there to. I watch the shows to get away from all that stuff, not to be injected one way or the other with it.
Jake, I don't know if I did answer this question. It's the time factor with the newborn show still dead now, like everything at ESPN touches. I don't know if I know Ron's very against ESPN, and I know a lot of people are. Look, there's a lot of people in here. Some people even work for ESPN. Some people still respect ESPN or work for Disney. I still feel like Disney's got some positives. I mean, when Disney acquired ESPN, a lot of ESPN did, I would say, change, but I still enjoy some aspects of ESPN. I don't just write them off entirely. Disney has done great things and done bad things with some things that happen. Like any business, you're going to agree with certain things. Again, my kids love Disney. I love Mandalorian. I love Star Wars. I love a lot of Disney shows. I love what Disney's doing in the streaming space. I love that there's all kinds of shows on Disney now. I love that they're making TV shows originals. There's a lot of reasons I like Disney, and there's a lot of reasons that I don't watch certain things, even Disney or ESPN, but I still understand it. I still respect parts of it, and I'm not like a hater of ESPN or Disney the way that some people are, but I respect that some people are. It doesn't, it's not a wrong stance to be like, I don't like this or I don't like that. That's just preference. I'm not closed-minded to either side is what I'm trying to say.
When I did do content, I told you this, Smitty, it was all Star Wars stuff, and there's, and we didn't like the way Disney was handling Star Wars and stuff like that. So all my content I have on my channel was all about Star Wars and how Disney kind of destroyed it. Now, I agree with you on The Mandalorian. It's a decent show, but...
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. That's the real song playing in the background, by the way, Ron.
Yeah, but a lot of us think that they ruined a lot of the characters, including Luke and a lot of these characters, the older characters, that they ruined all that Disney just totally ruined them. So.
McAfee's going woke. See, I think those are overreactions. I understand everybody mad. Like, what's crazy to me though is this is proof that nothing lasts forever. Some things you think are absolutely not going to change can change. The amount of support he had was so imbalanced positive, and the amount of hate he's getting for still providing his show, trying to tell people it's still going to be the same, and nobody listening to him. He might be wrong. He might be, thinking it's going to go a certain way and everybody's predicting it, but he's literally trying to tell people, would you trust me? The only thing that's changing is the F-bomb and just some things you won't even notice. Trust me, no one's even giving him the benefit of the doubt. And it's crazy to me, the negativity that his own wife's Instagram is being just bombarded with negativity. Like, your husband's a sellout, your baby's daddy's a sellout. Like, people are going crazy on his. That's uncalled for. Like, no one needs to go on his wife's Instagram and reference his child and say your dad's a sellout. Like, what kind of fan was that to begin with? Like, I can't imagine that being a really good, loyal fan. To me, that's a hater. To me, that was a hater from the beginning. No fan is going to go on someone's wife's Instagram because he made a business decision that they disagree with, that's paying him handsomely. That's hate, jealousy, negativity. There's no way that is a true fan. It doesn't make sense at all. It's crazy. But, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Let's get back to football. Let's go over to Adam. Adam, ask me a football question. Let's go. No more McAfee. I'm going to take him off screen here.
So, you were talking about Watson. I had to get him with the 38th pick earlier. So I had to get him right before, because I've seen someone took Love like really early. And so I figured they were going to snag him, so there was no way I was going to be able to get him. So I had to take him a little bit early. So I think he's going to start going even higher than. I think because people see that they're playing the Vikings in Week 17, his ADP is going to start going up, I think.
Yeah, Watson to me is going to live in. I don't know where my phone line went. Watson's going to live in the third round very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. I mean, he's already there. He's already there. But you can in your grandma league or your grandma draft or a real late night underdog draft. I don't know, Ron, if you've done this too, but I find that I draft my best teams in the middle of the night. On underdog. I feel like you would think, okay, these hardcore people are doing that, but I find that it's a little bit easier to get the teams you want. But I think he will climb once the puppy 2's open. I think he'll live at 3.9, 3.8 to 3.12, unfortunately. Oh my God, the gifted membership stopped. That was literally, first of all, Derby, who was the other? It was Terry Roberts, and who was the other one? Gifted.
Terry Roberts. It was Terry, it was Darby, and it was who else? There was somebody else.
Yeah. Who was it? Why am I blanking out? I want to say it was Jeremy, but Jeremy was the one talking about it.
I can't scroll back that far.
It was Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd gifted 20 memberships. Terry gifted 5 memberships. And Pal Derby, I always want to say Pat. Everybody's saying Pat. It's Pal. But well, for some reason we want to say Pat. So let me give a little round of applause here for Terry Roberts gifting 5, Matthew gifting 20, and Pal Derby gifting 50. Let's give one standing ovation for all 3 of these gentlemen right here. The I don't know, we call them the 3 gifteteers. The 3 gifteteers.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate you guys keeping the lights on while we await our $15 million offer from ESPN. Just kidding.
Did you see the team?
Little joke.
Did you see the team I drafted earlier today, Smitty?
Yeah, I forget what it was, but bro, I feel like there's value to be had that's going to be gone very soon, and I'm trying to scoop it up left and right.
It was Allen, Hurts, JJ. And then I got Najee, Walker, Charbonnet. Pretty much, I got a few. I got Addison, and I got a few other receivers. I kind of like a little light on star receivers, but I think it worked out pretty good overall.
By the way, this is a limited edition version of the hoodie. We have some of this merch on the merch store on the YouTube channel. This is a specific. Let me see if I can drop the link if anybody wants a specific version of it. Let me see if I can find the link to it and put it up. But this is a pretty fire shirt. It's kind of the Moon Men shirt. And let me see if I can grab this link and put it on here for you guys. But this is the Moon Men shirt.
I mean, I did just want to hang up, but I gotta go. I gotta get going to work. You
Okay.
guys have a good night.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on hold here. There's a
Have a
link.
good night.
Later, very blessed. Appreciate you, my
Later.
man. Oscar, you're live. I'm sorry. Oscar's been sitting there forever. Oscar's been sitting there for a while. Go get this hoodie if you want. There's two different shirt versions and a hoodie version of this. They're basically most of the Moon Men on here. We added Kincaid onto this one. There's one on the main channel that doesn't have Kincaid, so this is a very I don't think it has Kincaid. This is a very special, different version of the Moon Man apparel. So it's Bijan running back one on the front. There's a hoodie and two different T-shirt version of it. I just dropped the link in the live chat if anybody wants to get this hoodie or T-shirt. Oscar, what can I do for you, pal?
Hey, what up, Smitty?
Hey.
Hey, just calling in. First and foremost, I want to say I agree with the whole Mandalorian. This is the way. You know,
This is
definitely
the
a
way.
great show.
This is the way.
This is the way.
It is.
I did have a football question though. I'm actually in a startup superflex here. I'm on the clock, and I wanted to get your opinion as to who I should go with this pick.
All right, hit me with it.
So it's the 3-3. Currently in my team, I have Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra. I was going for that kind of later QB approach.
All right.
However, there's still a couple on there that kind of, I guess, piqued my interest, but I wanted to kind of get more of your thoughts around it. So the top three QBs that are showing up still, at least from a ADP standpoint, you have Murray, Prescott, and Stroud.
Okay. And what other quarterbacks are there? I'm sure Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young are gone based on the fact that you're listing Stroud, who could have as much upside. It's just he's listed consensus-wise later, so I imagine they're gone, right?
Yeah, they're gone. From there, it's Tua, Lance, Cousins.
What about Love?
Not yet. Yeah, he hasn't gone yet.
I would rather grab him and bank on that potential situation than I would going Stroud. Not because I don't like Stroud, but because there are probably the options here that with Love look like a better team to me. Because I think Love to me, and if anybody disagrees on Love, then use a different player. But Love to me is like I'd rather get A-Rod and Love and use this third pick on a player like Breece Hall or Olave. You give me Love, A-Rod, and throw Olave next to these guys. Or if you need to go RB, you got to go. Is Gibbs available? Jameer Gibbs available? I'm sure he's gone.
No, yeah, I got sniped from Gibbs. So I was going to go with Gibbs on my last pick, but in terms of running backs, I got Barkley, Eckler, and ETN within this pick here.
Breece Hall's gone. Man. I mean, your receivers are great. I guess, is Olave there?
He is, and I actually was thinking of going with him, but I didn't know if I'd be overkilling it, having just,
receivers
going first three picks wide receivers.
Can you start 4 wide receivers, or do you start maximum 3?
It's 3, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is Dynasty, and these guys will be with you forever. Not forever, but you know what I mean. They'll be with you for a long time. So like if you build running backs over the next couple of years underneath that, that's great. What I would have done is I would have went like a Breece Hall or Gibbs, and I would have walked out with this. I'm just letting you know for next draft is that balance really gives you some nice abilities. So if you didn't have Amon-Ra and you went Gibbs with your second pick, and then now you've got Olave sitting there, Garrett Wilson, Gibbs, Olave is probably better than Garrett Wilson, St. Brown, and now what you're left with, just so you know. But woulda, shoulda, coulda. But that to me,
yeah. And I had the option with Gibbs. I just I didn't think I was going to get sniped, and then Garrett Wilson was too tempting.
But I don't go Kyler, who's coming back from an ACL tear. You don't know where he's at. I don't go shaky Dak Prescott. I don't go Stroud, who's unknown right now But then again, what if Love gets sniped, A-Rod gets sniped, and you get totally royally screwed? There is a risk involved in waiting, but the flow of draft should indicate where you need to reach on Love. Don't let Love be. Don't do what you did with Gibbs and let him get sniped. If Love is creeping to the top, you got to take action. But there's nothing wrong. If let's say Love did get sniped from you, there's nothing wrong with going into a Superflex dynasty with A-Rod and a Sam Howell, and then you develop the position later. Would I rather have a Burrow? Obviously, but if you don't have that pick, you don't have that pick. This is actually a decent move, and it allows you to play for the now and build this up. And, you know, quarterback is really, really tough, but you're banking on this. You're going to bank on Sam Howell. You're going to bank on something. You're still you're taking a risk, but you're taking a calculated risk. I'd much rather have Jordan Love and A-Rod, because you got a lot of now in A-Rod, and he could play 2 years. He could be so happy in New York, and they could fall short, and he could say, I'm going one more year. 2 years is a long time. A-Rod and Love is better than going Stroud, but you have to make sure you land it. At least one of them with Howell.
Got it. Okay, so safe to say then going with Olave on the third pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Ron. What do you think? I mean, Ron, I know you're still getting into Dynasty kind of still, and you're not fully immersed in it to the tune where you feel ultra comfortable, probably even answering these questions. But I know you're a big Stroud guy, but Olave would, let's say you weren't going Stroud here, would you take Olave or would you take an ETN and get some balance? Let me put his team back to the way it actually is. So he's got Garrett Wilson and Amon.
Oh, I'd take that combination all day long, Garrett Wilson and Olave. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, but he has
over
Amon
Stroud
Ra.
at that point in time? Is it a super flex, though?
Yeah, he's going to be in trouble at running back if he does this, though.
That changes things. If it's a super flex, you got to get those quarterbacks.
Yeah, but does he force a quarterback here or go Love?
But I love Olave.
I probably take the gamble. Just make sure you land. You got to get at least one quarterback because it's super flex. So you could technically start a quarterback in that super flex spot. It's not advantageous, but it lets you do a calculated, risk. But Olave's the best value, and he's long term. Like those wide receivers are pretty sick. And you can't go back and change the past. But yeah, I would have went Gibbs here, but. Coming out next time for your next draft, coming out with the balance when all things are equal, the balance gives you a lot of power at this pick. Right now, you're forcing yourself to maybe go a position and not a player, and that's the spot you don't want to put yourself in.
That's how it's doing.
Like 2 running backs, 3 receivers. How many flexes?
It's 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. A super flex spot and 2 other flex spots.
Oh, okay.
So here's what I'm gonna tell you. This is what I'm gonna tell you, bro. This is what I think you can walk away with. Okay, this is what I would aim for. You already kind of screwed the pooch at running back, which doesn't mean that you're gonna have a bad team. It means you got to go a different direction now, and the direction you could go could still dominate your league. Okay, so I want you to understand. I'm not saying you win a direction where it's gonna be bad. You just gotta knock this out of the park. So if you got Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, you've got Olave, who is your number 2 wide receiver, in my opinion, over St. Brown. I don't think St. Brown's better than Olave in Dynasty. I would have taken Olave ahead of St. Brown. Like that's how much. But you got 3 amazing, and I still love St. Brown. 3 amazing wide receivers. These guys are absolutely phenomenal. You have 2 RB spots. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have 2 RB spots.
Okay. So 2 RB spots. You go Love here. Your super flex is, let's call it Sam Howell later. And you take a little bit calculated gamble there. I'm wondering, before you get to this Love and Howell pick, if you can fill one of these spots with one of those aging veteran running backs that people are avoiding. If you go in and get like a Henry or a Chubb, I'm not sure if both of them are gone.
Let me see. Chubb's available. Yeah, they're both available. I got also Barkley at the top.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure.
So let's say this next, so you take Olave with. So this is your first pick. This is your second pick. This is your third pick. this fourth pick here before you start going quarterback shopping. If as long as you feel like it's going to work, this team crushes in year one. Absolutely crushes. You need to take advantage of the older RBs here. You need to go get a Kamara and a Chubb, a Derrick Henry and a Chubb. You need to embrace that older running back stable, because that is where the value currently is at for your particular draft status. If you start chasing young wide receivers, now would I take Charbonnet? Yeah. So if you get to that road, you might have to go Charbonnet. But if you start scooping up like this, I'm not against Pacheco, but you start scooping up like a Pacheco because you're trying to chase youth at running back when that ship has sailed. You let it sail by, and that's fine because you went heavy wide receiver. This right here is what you need to do, and you need to embrace it. Yeah, Kincaid as well. I don't know where he's going to go.
And later down the draft, you could pick up somebody like Chase Brown. Also, I noticed like in my dynasty draft, P. Ryan has dropped way down there, and he's a starter this year for Javonte, and we don't know when Javonte or if Javante's going to be back to form or not. So P. Ryan is another one you can target later on down in your draft.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy. We got a $20 hauler from JP. JP says 12-man, 1.9, Diggs, AJ Brown. Hold on, Miss Mitty's messaging me about food or something. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, JP. Okay, never mind. No longer an option unless you want to go. Oh, Jamba Juice. No, okay. I'll go get a pizza. I'm gonna go get a Lou Molinati's pizza, I think. Okay. 1.9, Diggs, AJ Brown, Burrow, Kittle, Swift, Damian Pierce, AJ Dillon, Charbonnet. Don't forget Swift, Oscar. Don't forget Swift. Charbonnet, Flowers, Kincaid, Smitty approved, or should I put my Nikes on right now and take a lap? Burrow, Diggs, AJ Brown, Swift, Damian Pierce, Charbonnet, Kincaid. I like it. That's something I can work with, JP. That's a good team. Smitty.
You've just been Smitty approved.
That's a really good squad. Damian Pierce, especially Charbonnet. If Charbonnet steps up, boom. If Pierce steps up, boom. If Dillon steps up, boom. And I don't say that if Swift steps up, boom. I don't say that because you need all those things to happen, but you have a nice combination that Diggs, AJ Brown, Burrow, and those combos, and Kincaid and Flowers. Like, you just need one or two of those to pop, and you have a very nice grip of ones that can. So nice job, bro. That's a really good team. I appreciate your super chat as well. You guys, I seriously, let me. I know I said I wouldn't talk about this anymore, but I truly believe that this show, and I think we do have to go in a general sports direction with another channel on top of this channel. This channel won't change. But the fantasy football show puts us in a box, which I know you all love. That's why you're here. The Dynasty channel, the fantasy football show main channel, this one right here, and the general sports talk channel, the Smitty Report, which let me drop the link so you guys can subscribe to it, just so we can build it up before we end up getting going on it. But those three avenues, maybe a fourth channel, we'll have to see. Those avenues are going to take this show, this brand, I believe, into a place where we are looking back, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts, man, that we're going to look back and say, wow, I never thought it would get to this level. That's my goal. Please subscribe to the Smitty Report right there. Right now, I don't think there's that many. I haven't really spread it around much, but the Smitty Report, I should put it on my channel list. On the YouTube channel, so you guys can follow it. I just haven't done anything too much with it yet, but that let me see. Is that, oh, that didn't even put the right link. Hold on. Let me put this. That's the wrong link. Smitty Report. Okay, here's the link. So like this, I haven't even done anything with this yet. It's got 43 subscribers. It's not even launched at all. But having more people on it would probably make me do stuff with it. So here's the link right here. Sorry. That's the link right there. Subscribe to the Smitty Report. That'll be the general sports channel. But I'm excited about what's to come for this brand. And you see things like this Pat McAfee thing unveil, and you see the negative reaction. It's a stark reminder of what is important to you, you know, and not wanting to ever stray from that path. The goal is never to. The goal, I can't say that I would never accept a $60 million offer, but I can tell you that of the offers that are most likely to fall at my doorstep, I don't think there's anybody that can pry me away from being independent and doing what I do and talking with you guys. Like if somebody offered me a massive amount of money to be unhappy at work, that money can't buy happiness. And if this channel is as big as it's climbing to be, the brand is as big as it's climbing to be, money's not gonna, at some point money's not gonna matter, because I'll have, I wouldn't say I'm simple. You know, look at what we're trying to, like the studio, you know, it costs a little bit of money to do this stuff, but like I'm simple enough to where what I think this is going to be within 2-3 years, nothing's going to be able to really pry me away. I'm just going to have too much fun doing it. So plus I love working for myself, but I appreciate all you guys help keep the lights on, all these super chats. The fact that you guys dropped a combination of 110 or something like that YouTube exclusive memberships. You guys are all supporting, building this. I appreciate all of you. JP, appreciate you dropping that super chat. This channel will go to the moon, to Mars, already past the moon. Thank you. Appreciate you, JP. Let me get final thoughts here. Oscar, final thoughts. Oh, and then we'll go to George.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. I was on mute. Yeah, one last question. What are your thoughts on Darnell Mooney for this year? Or I guess in Dynasty in general.
Darnell Mooney, I like him. I like him, but he's what's the best comp for him? Better than like a Rondell Moore, obviously. But is he any better than a Tyler Boyd? Not maybe a little bit better than like a Tyler Boyd. He was exciting when he wasn't the only guy, and I think that now that DJ Moore's there, maybe Mooney can get back to like a 900, 1,000-yard season, 6 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. Could be a good flex play. I don't think I start him as a wide receiver 3, but is he a guy that I'm feeling comfortable with, especially if I'm playing best ball and I've got Fields and I toss him on my roster? That's not bad. So it kind of depends, but definitely feel like he's got a nice little like wide receiver 5 value. Let's call it 5-6 potential for wide receiver 4. You know, I like him.
Would you take him over Sutton or Peoples-Jones?
Probably. I like Chicago enough. Sutton, maybe you take Sutton over him in hopes that he does something, but I don't know. I'm not real excited about Sutton right now.
All righty. Appreciate you, Smitty.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, man. George from the Bay, I'm going to have to make it quick for you, but go ahead. You got the floor. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate the super chat.
Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were about. I mean, I know everyone thinks the Bucs are going to suck because of Baker, but I kind of think they might be a sneaky offense. I know that Evans is kind of up there in age, but they got this guy Trey Palmer, who's like a slot receiver, and he was at LSU for most of his career, and then went to Nebraska the last year. I think he's a sneaky wide receiver, like 4 or 5, maybe. What do you think of him?
I like him. Not sure what to make of him yet, but I do like him. He's definitely good in like the final rounds of a best ball draft. But do I take Tank Dell over him? Yeah. Do I take Hyatt over him? Sure. Josh Downs, absolutely. Take all those guys over him. But he's someone to look at. He kind of feels like in the same vein as a Charlie Jones, the guy Scott Hansen talked about in Cincinnati. Like interesting player that maybe situations that maybe the seas get parted for him and he gets in there. Wilson for the Cardinals, like not an easy player to predict how his path into the lineup, but there's a lot of talent there. I'd probably draft Wilson over him. Arizona's got a nice little rookie receiver. Paul Wolfer dropping a 10 YouTube exclusive membership. George from the Bay, you just got one, pal. You just got one.
Yeah, right on.
Wolfer, appreciate you. This is the most YouTube exclusive memberships we've ever had on a show before.
Oh yeah, man. That's because you make good content, man. Everyone that watches your stuff, they love and appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks, George. George, anything else before we jump?
No, that's it. I kind of wanted to see what you thought about Tampa. I know a lot of people are down on them, but I mean, I don't know. I still like Evans, and I still like Godwin. Some person said on Twitter that they thought Godwin might get traded eventually, maybe at the trade deadline, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to see. I don't think he will, but we'll have to we'll have to look at that, and we've heard things like Adams could get traded because he's unhappy, but that's not going to happen for a while. I think mid-season some things like that could happen for sure.
Yeah,
all
the
right.
whole Raiders thing is a whole dumpster fire. I'm staying away from all the Raider players.
Yeah, me too. All right, thank you, George. Appreciate you. Later. All right, Ron, hang tight real quickly. George, appreciate you. Smitty, with the schedule coming out as fantasy players, should we look at player schedules, pal? More on QBs, right? Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll have a strength of schedule coming out very, very soon, Terry, and it's going to be a little different than the average one that you see out there. I'm in a non-PPR league, and drafting at the turn, would you take Jefferson and Chase in your first 2 picks instead of a tier 2 running backs at the beginning? I'm in a non-PPR league and drafting at the turn. I imagine okay, I see what you're saying. Non-PPR league in drafting at the turn, would you take Jefferson and Chase with your first 2 picks instead of tier 2 running backs? You're talking about when you get the 1 or 2 pick in a non-PPR. Would I take Jefferson or Chase? I still like Chase a lot at the 1, even in a non-PPR, but I'd probably go Bijan of his dynasty. And, CMC or Bijan at 1 overall in a redraft. A lot of people are going to think I'm crazy for even considering Bijan at the 1 or 2 pick in a redraft, but I just think he's going to have that kind of season that it's going to be worth it at the end of the year. But I probably would go Jamar Chase, I suppose, in this situation, even in a non-PPR. I think he's going to score 15, 14, 16 touchdowns. I think he's going to have that big of a season. He's going to be healthy. They've been working on the offensive line. I love it, bro. Wolfer, appreciate you. But you're not crazy going CMC. Now, at the turn picks of, I don't know if you're talking about 12 or 13 or 24, 25. I don't know if that's what you mean. But if you go RB at the top, you're probably going to see pretty good wide receivers sitting there at 24, 25 in a non-PPR, because people are going to scoop up running backs, and you don't want to get left without a running back. However, my whole approach of Swift and Kamara and Charbonnet and grabbing, 3 of those guys, they might get taken a little higher in a non-PPR, but you could still grab all those guys. And maybe there's something to drafting against traffic in a non-PPR, taking Jamar Chase, getting Olave to fall to the bottom of round 2. Olave falling to the bottom of round 2 would be pretty sweet. If you could get Olave, maybe Garrett Wilson falls. I doubt it, but maybe he does, because this is a non-PPR. Maybe you grab 2 guys like that with Jamar Chase, go wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. If you could start 3 wide receivers in a non-PPR, and you get Kamara, Swift, Charbonnet combinations, Pacheco, Swift, Charbonnet, Pacheco, Kamara, Charbonnet, like getting a combination of those 3 kind of guys would be pretty awesome, in conjunction with those wide receivers. So don't just think because it's non-PPR you can't still draft against traffic. You certainly can. Thank you, Paul, for gifting those memberships, my guy. You are the man. Russian Collusion says, Smitty, you are very high on Olave, and so am I, but I never hear you talk about Carr. I think Carr made Adams a 1,300 plus 100 catch, 14 touchdown wide receiver, but he still wasn't a top 10 quarterback to start, really. So just because Carr is going to do really, really well doesn't necessarily mean he's fantasy football starter material, because the quarterback pool is so deep. Doesn't mean he won't be. I still think there's hope for him to be a lot better than he was in a Raider uniform, because the Raiders have one of the worst defenses in football, and now he's going to a pretty decent defense. He's got amazing weaponry. It's going to be a good year for Carr. I don't talk about him a lot, but I do think that he is a borderline top 12 guy. So if you went Carr and Love, if you went Anthony Richardson rookie with Carr, if you went some kind of like cheap quarterback route, I'm fine with that. I don't think Carr is a bad starter if you're in that situation. So thank you, George from the Bay. Appreciate you calling in. Vampy, appreciate you. Having your own channel is great for the breaking news stuff for sure. Thank you, Vampy. Appreciate you. I think I've got all the super chats. Isaac says it's a 1.12 and 2.1 pick. Everyone drafts running backs. Okay, I thought maybe that's what you're trying to say, but then I thought to myself, there's no way Jamar Chase and JJ are both falling to the 12, 13 picks. But if you're saying everybody goes RB, I'd almost be willing to bet you don't get both those guys at 12 and 13. That's crazy if it goes 11 straight RBs. If it does, I 100,000% draft against traffic. Because you know what's going to happen at 13 or at 14? After you take Jamar Chase and JJ at 12 and 13, if your league is so dumb to do that, you know what's going to happen? Wide receiver run. You're going to see 2 RBs go. No, you're going to see 2 or 3 RBs per round go in the next 2 or 3 rounds, maybe 4. You know, maybe like 8 total go between your 13 overall pick and your pick way at the bottom of that, 2 rounds later. You'll see so many RBs just sitting there because people are scared and picking up wide receivers. Take Chase and JJ and draft against traffic. That would be the easiest call in the world, but I highly doubt both of them fall. Isaac, you have to keep us updated if that ends up happening. That would be absolutely crazy. Terry Roberts, appreciate your super chat. I think I'm caught up on the supers. Ron Navy, final thoughts.
Nope, I think I've said enough for the night. Don't you?
Yeah, well, maybe. All right, Ron. Appreciate you.
All right. Talk
Later,
to
pal.
everybody later. Bye, Smith. Appreciate you.
Yep, appreciate you. All right, I'm out of here. Appreciate every single one of you that's in here. And again, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have this platform. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful we can get on here and talk sports. We can get on here and talk football. Can't thank enough Pal Derby dropping the 50 YouTube exclusive members. Can't thank enough Paul Wolf for dropping the YouTube exclusive members. Gifted, let's see here. Derby gifted 50. Terry Roberts gifted 5. Wolfer gifted 10. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Matt gifted 20. Those guys are monsters. All you super chatters are monsters. Thank you all. I'll see you. Probably not going live tonight unless there's breaking news. I might go live in the Dynasty channel very, very late tonight. I'm not sure. But it'll definitely be tomorrow will be, breaking news, a live stream, probably some sort of premiere, something during the day, and then the live show, and then the live drafting on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. That link is in the description of the video and every video that I do. Here's the link, or here's the link to Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. But make sure you click that now and sign up, because you won't get in if you're doing it at the time of drafting. If you're new to Underdog, they'll match up to $100 on your first deposit. So get in there. I'm going to pin the link right now in the live chat. Get in there now, sign up, get ready. Minimum $10. They'll double whatever you throw down, up to $100 if you're new to Underdog. So if you drop 100, they'll give you 100. But we'll be doing live drafts tomorrow night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So jump in. Thank you all my super chatters. I'll see you later. Ron Navy, super chat, thank you. Travis Rowe, Ron Navy, Jake, appreciate your super chat. Silver, appreciate you being here. Ron Navy, Matthew Boyd, appreciate you. Terry Roberts, Russian Collusion, Vampy, appreciate your super chats. Terry, appreciate your super chat. Russian Collusion, Terry. Kevin S, appreciate your super chat. Pal Derby, appreciate all you did. Isaac, Gravy says, Gravy said Pal Derby over Pat McAfee, appreciate you. Virtues, Kevin S again. This is one for the Babe Ruth. Appreciate that, Kevin. Freddie, Pal Derby again. Tristan, Russian Collusion, JP with the 20. Isaac, Paul Wolfer, appreciate you. All you did. Ron Navy again. Terry Roberts again. Isaac again. Appreciate you all. Paul Wolfer says, I don't know if my super chat went through. It did right here. PMS sold out. Pat McAfee sold out. Already makes $30 million a year from FanDuel. Paul is not happy, and I don't blame him. I don't blame anybody. I don't blame anybody for any stance they have on this topic, because there's definitely a stance all around. Gibbs formula, yeah, Gibbs' formula, but the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. I will see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you. Gibbs to the moon. Silver to the moon. Ethan, appreciate you. Marty. Jaime. D-Town. Isaac. 2 card. Stark in the building. James Stark in the building. Jeremy W, appreciate you. Very blessed indeed. Appreciate you. See you all on the Dynasty channel, maybe later tonight, but definitely see you all tomorrow multiple times, multiple live streams. Appreciate you, George from the Bay. Travis, later. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.